Hi, if you want to watch exclusive content with hot girls that is not on YouTube, namely, where Naruto roasts Kushina Mikoto and many other hot girls without restrictions, then visit my channel Busty and subscribe. By the link in the description. Walking through the dark woods of the dreaded Forest of Death, there was a boy with bright blonde hair and eyes. Blue and ice, dressed in a pair of tattered black shorts, a ruined red shirt, and a pair of worn-out shoes. I knew most people would find it strange to see a child of barely 6 years old walking through a. There was a place with that name, but this boy was different. This boy had many names, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze for those who knew nothing about his family life, only Naruto for the few who did know, but mainly the used. The name of a demon, the scorn of the village. Why is this town full of such idiots? I mean, come on. This is the 6th time this week those idiots have chased me here, and what's the point of revenge, you bunch of idiots? Naruto shouted in frustration at the villagers' utter stupidity, walking deeper and deeper into the forest. Naruto finds his only safe haven in the entire village, a large cave. To most, it would be strange to call a cave a safe haven, but for Naruto it was like paradise, since no one knew about it except him. Walking inside the Naruto walked through a large cave until he reached a large, open area with some things he used for training. Like a couple of training dummies, some stray kunai and shuriken, and a few scrolls here and there. It's good being back here. Sometimes I wonder why I keep coming back to that village, Naruto muttered to himself before. She shook her head to get rid of the thought. This isn't the time to think about any of that. Today is the day when. She explored a little more of this cave. Who knows if I'll find anything worthwhile? Oh, you have no idea! Armed with a flashlight and a rope, Naruto ventured into the cave. After hours of exploring, he was starting to get frustrated. Rocks, and more rocks. Why can't I find anything in this stupid cave? 4. To vent his frustration, Naruto continued kicking the wall until he heard 2 different sounds. Crack, bam, __. I think I just broke my foot, Naruto yelled, clutching. My foot was injured as I glared at the broken wall. Stupid wall, you're hurting my foot like this. Why should I? Waiting for a wall? I finally found something, forgetting his injured foot. Naruto started walking along the new path. I swear, if I find nothing but rocks, I'm going to tip over, he muttered. Naruto whispered, walking for what seemed like hours. In reality it was 10 minutes, but he's 6 years old and has short legs. Naruto found something he didn't expect to find, right in front of him. There were 2 enormous metal doors covered in rust with a large circle in the middle with a faded image from the head of a dragon. What on earth is something like that doing in a cave? Getting closer to get a better look, Naruto felt curious about what might be on the other side of the doors, so he placed both hands at the door, using all the strength his 6-year-old son had to try to open the doors, but they didn't budge. Not at all, the stupid doors won't budge. Walking away from the door sadly because it wouldn't open, Naruto turns around. He bounced on his heels and ran towards the door, hoping the extra speed would help him, only to stumble and fall face first against the door, which caused a head hemorrhage that splattered onto the door as he fell. Backs, as it dripped down the door, the blood stopped flowing upwards towards the center, making it glow before stopping. Still dazed from his fall to the ground, Naruto clutched his head with pain. Using the door for support, he wiped the blood from his head with his free hand, not noticing the faint glimmer of the door until it burst open, sending Naruto to the ground once again, enraging him. Well, I'm fed up with this, __cave, first my foot, then my head, and now a door is forcing me to eat. Land a __door, Naruto exclaimed, but stopped when he saw, with wide eyes, the room in the that had fallen. The room looked ancient and was covered in ice from the floor reached the walls. The only wall that could still be penetrated was covered in ice with carved faces that they resembled Okiji Mountain. The most striking thing was a large blue orb floating in the center of the room, surrounded by pillars of ice and stone. What does something like that do? Naruto asked. He spoke loudly, approaching the orb carefully so as not to slip on the icy ground. Naruto saw it more clearly and saw a shadow floated in the middle of the mysterious orb. Wanting to find out what it was, he approached carefully, but almost fell. When a voice echoed through the room, someone with the blood of the past had finally found this place, although I didn't think it would be someone so young. What are you doing here, kid? The voice boomed, startling Naruto. I found this Cave years ago, when my family locked me out of the house and the villagers chased me into the forest of the. I died and I've been coming back ever since. This is the only safe place I know, Naruto replied, frightened of having entered without permission and almost dying because of it. Why would your family leave you out, and why would they let you in? Would these villagers be pursued? The voice asked in a slightly softer tone, to me. My family didn't care. My father thinks I'm a slow, wasted person who isn't worth breathing, and my mother. He doesn't even look at me. Naruto had tears in his eyes thinking about it. But the worst is my sister Mito, she knows I don't. They love me and rub it in my face every chance they get. Wiping away their tears, Naruto continues, as for the villagers, they see me as a demon because my father sealed the Nine Tails chakra in my sister, and its soul in me, Naruto ends. With anger in her voice, these people are foolish to think those things about you. I can feel your potential to become a strong fighter, and even these old eyes can see that you are not a demon. Naruto wasn't sure, but he swore he heard anger in the voice. Son, do you want to show them your wrong? Show them the power you carry within. Without waiting for the voice to ask anything, Naruto could only say one thing. You say something somewhere in Konoha, Achu, why suddenly? Do I feel a sense of pride? Asked a white-haired man before shrugging and turning back to read an orange book. Laughed today, Tomi, naughty girl. The poor bastard never noticed the group of kunoichi behind him. Back with Naruto, I said, would you like to prove everyone wrong about you? The voice asked. She was again a little irritated by what Naruto said. A look of surprise appeared on Naruto's face, but it was soon replaced by one of confusion. Oh, don't offend me, sir, voice. But how can it teach me that it has a voice? Asked Naruto, who didn't understand how a voice could teach him to be a strong and tough fighter. Ha! I guess it's my fault for not showing up face to face. Face to face, look at the orb, child, and you'll see how. Looking towards the blue orb, Naruto was surprised to see that the shadow. It began to move and emerged from the orb, revealing an old man with long gray hair and chilling blue eyes. A scar that ran from my eyebrow to the lower part of my eye. My name is Kwayano, better known as Sub-Zero. But from now on you will call me teacher, he affirmed with a smile on his face upon seeing the look of astonishment in Naruto's face. After announcing Naruto as his student, Kwai waited. Many things, like a small bow or a shout of excitement. However, I wasn't prepared for the barrage of questions the little blonde boy kept asking him. What am I going to learn? A small mark appeared on Kwai's head. Will I be able to make things explode? The checkmark was made. Bigger, how did you get that? Scar, Kwai clenched his fist. I'll learn cool fighting styles. His left eye starts to twitch with irritation. Shut up! Kwai shouted, irritated by the constant questions. Seeing that having angered his new teacher, Naruto bowed. I'm sorry, sensei. It won't happen again, Naruto promised, receiving a nod of agreement from Kwai. Make sure it doesn't happen, but since you're so eager to learn, I'll tell you what this place is. Millennia ago there was. Many worlds existed, but two of them were in constant war. This world, known as the Realm of Earth, and another known as the Outer World. To stop this war, the ancient gods created a competition that he pitted the best warriors of both worlds against each other in a deadly battle. The Earth Elm won, but the leader from the outside world, Shao Kahn, attacked anyway. We won, but it cost us a lot. As punishment, the ancient gods destroyed it. Looking at Naruto to see if he was still paying attention, he was happy to see how much attention Naruto was getting. Lending to his story, later it was discovered that Shokan had been manipulated into attacking the kingdom of the earth was weakened by a sorcerer named Kan, who sought to weaken its defenses and thus facilitate the invasion of Shinnok, a ancient old god. Fortunately, John Yikiji and Sun Yablade stopped him, trapping him in an amulet where he remained imprisoned for 25 years. But his followers freed him. After her release was an attempt to obtain the power of the Jinsei, the life force of the earth, but Casey Kage, daughter of Janli, was unable to do so. Sonia stopped him after Shinnok was defeated and Earth was safe once more. I returned to the Lini Temple. As the years passed and the world began to change, my people began to die, and only I remained standing. I asked Raiden to allow me to stay here in the Jin stem and wait for someone worthy of my teachings, and that person is you. Young Naruto, you will be my legacy to this world. Kwai looked to see Naruto shed silent tears. What's wrong, my student? Kwai asked, unsure why Naruto had started crying at his words. "You're the first person who's ever recognized me," Naruto stammered, wiping away tears of joy, smiling at her. His student, Kwai, ruffled his hair. "When I finish teaching you Naruto, everyone will know exactly who they've got." Offended, smiling at his teacher, Naruto begins to bounce on the balls of his feet. "Then, sensei, what are we going to do first?" Naruto asked, barely containing his excitement. "First you're going to write a letter to your family, and I'll put it in your room for them to find, and then we'll say. You're going to be pretty busy for the next 10 years, ha ha ha," Ryoi scaring Naruto about the plans that his sensei had something for him. Sitting with a piece of paper and a pen in his hand, Naruto wasn't. He was unsure of what to say in the letter, but then he thought about all the things he had been told over the years. "I wish you weren't my brother, you're a huge disappointment, why can't you be more like your sister?" Full of a new anger filled Naruto as he began writing his letter to his former family. "It's done, I can see it." "Okay, pass it here and I'll give it to you," Kwai said, as he passed the letter to his master. Naruto had a thought in his head, a sense. "And will I learn to use chakra during my training?" Naruto asked, making Kwai think for a moment. "I'll gather material so that learn more later during your training, as I want you to be fully focused on me." Training, since he was unaware of the powers that people possessed in this era. "Okay, sensei, when the time comes I'd like to know a few things about elements and sealing, that would be great, and such. I've seen some scrolls on genjutsu," Naruto said, making Kwai nod before he fell back and disappearing into the ice floor, leaving behind a starry-eyed Naruto. "I'm so inclined to do that," Naruto murmured in amazement. Outside the house, Namikaze, "It's been a while since I've done that," Kwai said, breathing more heavily than usual. Recovering, Kwai looks the best place to enter, but he sees strange black marks on most of the walls and the window that somehow reason alerted his senses. Looking around the house once more, Kwai. He sees a small, unmarked window and decides that will be his entrance, climbing up to the window with relative ease. Even at his age, Kwai silently opens the bedroom window and finds himself inside. A small, simple room with white walls and a bed. It must be Naruto's room. "I'm glad I found the room so easily." Kwai leaves the letter on the bed so it's easy to see, and she was about to leave when she heard people talking on the other side of the door, outside the room of Naruto. "Are you sure this will work, Minato-kun?" asked a beautiful redhead with concern in her voice, looking at the blonde oakage. "Believe me, Kusina-chan, this seal will work fine. Once I place it on Naruto, all of his chakra will be absorbed by it, leaving only the bare minimum to survive. Then we place the seal on the myth and give it to him," Minato said, making Kusina frown. "But this seems wrong." "I know I said I didn't want my baby to have to fight to live, but stealing chakra is wrong." "Too much," Kusina said, making Minato sigh in annoyance. "It's for the good of Konoha," Minato said. Kusina's eyes glazed over and she nodded in agreement. "I see you agree, but I want to make sure the key seal, works properly first, so I'll leave that for later." Late. Turning away from the door, Minato headed to his office, leaving Kusina standing there with glassy eyes and a single tear rolling down her face. "With sales, well, the ___ just hit the fan. I'd better go back to Naruto, but I mustn't tell him this yet, he might kill him." Kwai said this before falling backward and disappearing into the ground, now frozen. At Jinsei Kwai, he emerges from the frozen ground and sees Naruto asleep on a small rock. He observes his students. They're asleep, but remember there's still work to be done before they can begin their training. "Naruto, wake up!" Kwai ordered. Hearing his master's voice, Naruto opened his eyelids. "Good morning, sensei, shall we train?" Naruto asked. He dreamed but excited. Kwai, with a serious expression, crossed his arms over his chest. "Naruto, before you begin your training, you have to do one more thing," Kwai said, confusing Naruto. "About what I had to do, a clear sensei. I'll do whatever it takes to become stronger." Naruto promised. "Alright, before you begin your training, you need to become a Cryomancer so you can use ice like me. To do this, I will place my blood in you. This should allow you to become a..." The Cryomancer looked at his sensei with no small amount of concern. "A sensei, you said I should, what else could possibly happen to me?" Naruto asked, making Kwai sigh. "Could you freeze yourself from the inside out?" he affirmed, making him Naruto's eyes widened at the risk he was about to take. After weighing the pros and cons, he began to consider the risks. After a few minutes of arguing, Naruto had his answer. "Let's do this, sensei!" Naruto shouted, surprising everyone. Kwai, with his bravery, not one to be told twice, Kwai creates an ice syringe and takes his blood and she injects it into Naruto. I don't feel any different, maybe I need more." "Ha!" Naruto screamed as he felt the blood run cold in his veins. He continued screaming until the ice began to cover his body, hiding it from view. With nothing to do but wait anxiously, Kwai sat down to meditate. Praying for the survival of their new student. After an hour's wait, the ice surrounding Naruto broke, causing his body to fall to the ground, but it did not shatter as Kwai feared. As he approached his unconscious student, Chui noticed some differences. His hair, which was previously her blonde hair, had turned white with flashes of blue and ice. Her complexion, once tan, paled. "Sleep for now, my student, because when you wake up you're going to be in hell." Upon opening his eyes, he found himself lying face down on a solid block of ice. But strangely, he didn't feel cold at all. A chill ran through him. As he stood up dazed from the block of ice, Naruto felt a dull ache course through his aching body. "I feel like I've been hit by a train in the snowy region," Naruto complained before looking around. And see his sensei meditating in a corner. As he approached his teacher, Naruto saw his reflection in a wall of ice. "What the hell happened to me?" Naruto exclaimed, staring at the unfamiliar face that. It was her reflection. Her hair, which had once been blonde like the sun, had turned snow white with blue and ice highlights. Her tan had been replaced by pale skin, but the strangest change was in her eyes, which before they were bright blue and now they were a cold, icy blue that would leave anyone paralyzed just by looking at it. "I see you've noticed your changes. I must say, you now look more like a Lin Kuei recruit." Receiving a look that he demanded answers. And Kuei gestured for him to sit down. "The reason for your appearance is because your body had to change to become a Cryomancer. This came with some additional bonuses such as increased strength and speed, greater pain tolerance, and a higher healing factor. Trust me, the last two will help during your training, Gua," Kuei said, finishing with a small laugh. "Evil," she said, sending a shiver down Naruto's spine. "Now that that's out of the way, we can talk about your training." Kuei could see Naruto's eye light up at the mention of training. "To begin, you will learn the basics of Dragon Kung Fu until you feel ready to learn any of its techniques. Advanced techniques. While you learn that, I'll teach you how to control ice and how to use it as a weapon. These lessons will continue until I say so, then you'll move on to advanced stuff." At this point, Naruto was jumping. She was on tiptoe with excitement. "Will I be able to learn that amazing ice teleportation?" I could hear the hope in her voice. "It's called Tombstone Teleportation, and yes, with you'll learn over time and hopefully improve, as it's too predictable in most cases." Combat situations. With those words, a fire ignited in Naruto's eyes. "I promise, sensei, that I'll improve it and any other technique I learn," he promised, causing his sensei to smile. "That's a big promise, Naruto, and I hope you fulfill it. But going back to our previous conversation, your training begins today, so get ready, because once we start, there's no turning back." And with that, he walked toward the field of training, leaving his student there to think for a few moments. "Finally, the beginning of my new life away from this village and my former family." And with that, Naruto ran after his master to begin his training. Namake's mansion. Kushina Uzumaki was sitting at home reading a book, but felt a sudden pain shoot through her heart. "Why does my heart hurt? Why do I feel like I just lost something important?" she murmured to herself, clutching her chest in pain, still clutching her chest in pain. Kusina enters the kitchen and sees Mito eating a sandwich. "Hello, Mito-chan," said Kusina, still holding the chest. Something Mito noticed. "Are you okay, Kaa-chan?" Seeing that her daughter was worried, she put on a fake smile. "I'm fine, Mito-chan, I just feel She felt a little unwell. Seeing no reason not to believe her mother, Mito resumed eating her sandwich, looking at her. As Kusina ate her lunch, her daughter began to think about her family. Minato normally. He was busy with his duties as an Okuji, and if he wasn't, he'd be teaching Mito or working on his stamps. Then there she was, Mito, a loud and energetic girl who reminded her a lot of herself at that age. Especially with his red hair, and finally, Naruto, the black sheep of the family, which was one of the most pleasant things he'd heard Minato say to him. Naruto was a mystery, and to say he was distant would be an understatement. Gently, not that I blamed him for any reason, sadly, no one seemed to care about him, not even Mito. Have you seen your brother? Kusina asked, making Mito look as if she had just received a slap. Why should I know where that waist is? He asked. Mito surprised Kusina. Don't talk about your brother like that, Kusina shouted. That Mito looked at her as if she were crazy. Why isn't that the truth? He is useless, and I should do everyone a favor and disappear. She slapped him, holding his red cheek. Mito looked up to see her mother look at her angrily, something that frightened her. Never say that. Do you understand? Kusina shouted, receiving a nod from Mito. Kusina crouched down and she dried her daughter's tears. Now we're going to Naruto's room to see him, and you're going to apologize, understand? Receiving a nod, the two went upstairs and stood outside Naruto's room. Kachan, I don't remember ever going into Naruto's room before, Mito said, making Kusina think about the. She couldn't remember the last time she went to kiss Naruto goodnight, or read him a bedtime story. Because she had never done it before, after knocking a couple of times without getting an answer. The two of them silently opened the door. And they were paralyzed by what they saw. Naruto's room was as simple as a cell, a bed. A single room, a small desk in the corner, and gray walls without a single poster or drawing. Kusina, looking for something that would tell them where Naruto had gone, they see a small piece of paper on the bed, feeling that there. Her heart races, she reaches for the note and begins to read, Dear former family, instead of writing about all the horrible things I've had to go through, like the beatings from the villagers and the. Because of your abandonment, I choose to write you only 3 words, goodbye. Forever. After finishing reading the note, Kusina drops it and bursts into tears on her knees. Mito picks her up and she joins her mother, who is crying on the floor. It's my fault, I wanted her to leave, she shouted. Mito, while holding the note to her chest. No, Mito-chan, don't blame yourself. Blame me, blame Minato, and this village. Kusina wept, while they remained in the Naruto's room for hours, crying over the loss of Naruto. The two redheads heard the door. The main door was closing. Kusina-chan, Mito-chan, I'm home, Minato called from downstairs. Hearing her husband's/father's voice, the two run downstairs and hug him tightly, surprising him. Calm down, both of you, and tell me what's wrong, Minato said, trying to comfort them. 2. It's Naruto, he's gone, Kushina shouted, tightening her grip on Minato, making him shudder. I'm sure of it. He'll be back soon from wherever he is, said Minato, who was panicking inside, the little one. When the dwarf died in the forest for the first time in his life, Minato wished Naruto wasn't dead. No, he won't be. He escaped, he left a note, Kusina said, handing the note to Minato, who quickly read it. His anger grew with every word he read. Damn, this ruins my plan for the stamp, he muttered. Minato, he hadn't expected Kusina or Mito to hear him. Unfortunately, he forgot that Kusina, a former Jinjuri and a current Jinjuri, has senses far more advanced than those of normal humans, so they heard his whisper as if it were a scream. Controlling their anger towards Minato, the two redheads released him from the. They hugged and watched as emotions flickered across her face, shifting from anger to rage. Kusina, the ink of this. The note seems to be from a day ago at best. I need to gather the ANBU to go look for him, and with that, Minato. It was in a yellow flash, leaving 2 angry redheads behind. Cie-chan, I have a feeling that Susan hates Naruto, Mito said with a confused look on her face, not understanding how Swan could hate her. Brother, me too, Mito, and I plan to find out why, Kusina said as she walked toward Minato's studio, closely followed by Mito. Upon arriving at Minato's office, Kusina noticed the alarm seals on the door. Myth, run and get me a paintbrush, some ink, and paper. Running to get the supplies, Mito returns shortly after, holding everything Kusina requested, quickly rewriting the seals of. The studio door opens, and Kusina, followed by Mito, begins walking towards the desk, but stops in the middle. From the room when a sudden, sharp pain appears in the back of both necks. Ignoring the pain, Kusina and Mito continue walking towards Minato's desk and see a folder called Chakra Project. Opening the folder, Kusina reads the project details. Project Chakra created by Minato, Namikaze, and Danzo. Shimura and assisted by Orochimaru, this project was created with the purpose of creating the best weapons for Konoha. Entry 1. I had Orochimaru experiment with using bloodlines for weapons, so far, only one. He survived and gained the ability to use wood release, which is a step in the right direction, hopefully, soon. Konoha will have an army of bloodline users at its disposal. Entry 5. We have concluded that, although the bloodlines are powerful, they are very difficult to integrate into the human body, since their rejection results in the death. Therefore, we needed to use something much more powerful and easier for humans to integrate. The answer: it's simple. Jinchuriki. Entry 14. By order of Danzo, he rescued Kusina from the Kumo ninja, which caused her to fall in love with me, which increased the plans for the Jinchuriki army. Entry 20. I've been stealing chakra from the Jinchuriki for months to test and see the better ways to use it. Orochimaru has devised several possibilities so far, but nothing significant yet. Entry 28. I have impregnated the Jinchuriki. This could be the breakthrough we've been waiting for. Waiting, while we give birth, the seal will weaken, giving us the opportunity to reseal the beast within the child. From there, we can train him to become Konoha's weapon. Entry 29. All things were going very well, but my plans failed. The Jinchuriki had twins, something I didn't foresee. This resulted in that both children received pieces of the Kyuubi's chakra. It would normally be an advantage to have two children with chakra from tailed beast, but it's not the chakra that should have gone to one. It split, weakening its weapon. This won't work. Entry 44. I've designed a seal that should take all the beast's chakra and absorb it. Now, everything that what I need to do is wait for the right moment to use it. For the second time that day, Kusina cried in pain, seeing. When her mother started crying again, Mito picked up the folder that had fallen and read it herself. A minute later she joined in. Her mother was crying in pain, and one of them noticed that the seal on the back of the folder was beginning to glow. Calming herself, Kusina looks at her crying daughter. Mito-chan, go and pack your things, we won't leave her with that monster. Not a second longer, receiving a nod of agreement, the two dried their eyes and rushed to their rooms. To pack, Kusina and Mito quickly pack their things and leave through the door of Namikaze, never to return. Never with Minato 10 minutes earlier, sitting in Okuge's office he was. Minato, who had just sent an ANBU squad to track down his wayward son. I know you're there, you can come out, sensei. Minato said, smiling slightly as he saw his sensei emerge from the shadows. I see that your time as Okuge hasn't dulled your senses like my former rival did. Iruen praised Danzo with a slight. Danzo smiled, looking at his best student, taking a seat opposite Minato. Danzo. He looked at him seriously. It's true your son has left town, don't call that thing is my son, but it is true that it has escaped, but I have sent an ambush squad to recover it. Minato replied, causing Danzo to sigh in annoyance and frustration. I'll never understand your hatred for your son. But it doesn't matter, I'll send 2 squadrons from Route to help with the search. Have you finished the seal? Danzo asked. Receiving a nod from Minato, well, if my Route ANBU finds him, I'll have him taken to one of the underground bases to keep him safe until we can continue with the plan. Okay, send me a message, Quan, __. The chakra project alarm just went off, I have to go. Disappearing in a yellow flash, leaving a worried Danzo behind, Namikaze's mansion, Minato appeared outside. He left his house and rushed to his office only to find it empty with the chakra project folder on the floor and full. Tears streamed down Minato's face. Faced with this situation, he could only say one thing, __. With Kusina and Mito, Kachan, where are we going to go now? Mito asked, since we still? I'm a registered kunoichi, we can't leave the village, so we'll stay with my friend Mikoto. Yes, it's been a while. It's been so long since I've seen Aunt Miko! Exclaimed Mito, excited to finally see her favorite aunt after so long. Walking through the dark streets of Konoha, passers-by looked on in puzzlement, and wondered why the Okuge's wife and son would walk so late at night with suitcases, ignoring the stairs that were. Upon receiving the message, the 2 redheads arrived at the Yukiya compound and knocked on the clan chief's houses. When the door opened, and Kusina and Mito smiled at the sight of Sayuri standing there. Hey, Sayuri-chan! Do you remember me? Kusina said, confusing Sayuri. Hey Kahan, there are 2 tomato heads at the door! Sayuri shouted without seeing the 2 redheads. Her eyes twitched with annoyed at being called tomato. Hearing her daughter scream, Mikoto walked She walked towards the door to greet her lifelong friend. Hey, Kusina, what are you doing here at this hour? Did you have a fight with Minato? Mikoto asked. Can we put these two to sleep and then you can? I'll explain. Receiving a nod, the two kunoichi led the girls to Sayuri's room to sleep. Walking back to the living room, Mikoto looks at Kusina with a serious expression. It's okay, Kusina, what happened? Then Kusina began to explain what had happened and what she had discovered. At the end of the story, Mikoto was that bastard. Mikoto shouted furiously. So, it's okay for me to stay here for a while? It'll take some time until I buy an apartment for myself and Mito, of course. It's fine that you're staying, and you can forget about it. Apartment, you can stay in one of the houses here in the complex, thank you. But I don't think Fugaku would like that very much, Kusina said, causing Mikoto to laugh. Don't worry about him, he won't do anything, trust me. Seeing the sweet smile on Mikoto's face, Kusina simply. He nodded. Good, now it's time for you to get some sleep, you've had a long day. And stressful, her friend agreed, and the two went to sleep. Meanwhile, Kusina tried to fall asleep, unable to stop thinking about Naruto and how much she had let him down. I'm sorry. Naruto, wherever you are, I hope you're happy, Kusina whispered before falling asleep. Jinsei 5 years. Later, Naruto was 11 years old. It was early morning in the village of Konoha, but deep inside, a young man. A student from Linkia was practicing with his sensei. Very good, Naruto, almost. You've mastered the dragon style, you just need more experience using it, he praised, looking at his now 11-year-old apprentice. It's all thanks to you, sensei, Naruto replied with a bow. The last 5 years of training. They had been great for Naruto. He had changed a lot over the years. She had grown to a handsome height of 168 m, her hair. He retained the same color, but had become disheveled with bangs that covered his eyes, Ichigo Gangengi, and his face had become more angular with the loss of childhood fat. He basically looked like a young Minato. But with blue and white hair, paler skin, since her old clothes no longer suited her. Naruto now wore a pair of black steel-toed combat boots with black combat pants. He wore an ice blue belt with the Lin Kui symbol. His upper body consisted of a black shirt. A fitted, sleeveless top showed off her defined muscles. Over this, she wore a short-sleeved, ice blue trench coat and, as was tradition, he used the Lin Kui mask, that's true, but without your natural ability. And your determination would have taken much longer to teach you, but enough of that. Let's see your progress in ice manipulation, show me your preferred weapons. Following his sensei's order, Naruto extends his hands and forms 2 beds of pure ice with jagged edges. After forming the beds, he begins to execute his cataclysm, the dragon's claws. Upon completion, he releases his weapons, making the shattered against the floor. Good, very good, now show me your other weapon, he ordered. Koi, bowing to his sensei, Naruto clasps his hands together and forms a Muramasa katana slightly longer than usual. Normal, he scans his sword, the dragon's fang, at the end of his. With a wave of his hand, Naruto drops the weapon, shattering it, and turns to bow to his sensei, who is now applauding. It's very impressive to learn 2 of the most difficult Lin Kuni weapon styles. It's no easy task, however. You, my student, have achieved it, and I couldn't be prouder, Kwai said, his voice filled with evident pride. Thank you, Sense, and that's all for today. Yes, I know about your progress with the movements of the Lin Kuni style, but before I can teach you more, you must do something. Give me your order, Sensei, and I swear by my honor will be done. Don't rush too much, student, you should hear the mission before accepting, but as you're so eager, your mission is to kill all the bandits in a small camp located east of here. I think. Which is near a small country called the Land of Waves, Kwai finished, looking at the surprised face of his student. But Sensei, I've never killed before, said Naruto, looking at the ground. I don't think so. Who can kill in cold blood? He murmured, sounding sad for disappointing his master. Looking at his student, Kwai, he didn't. He could help but think that this is what his father must have had to do when he trained him and his brother. Naruto, are you ready for this? I know, I agree, cold-blooded killing is wrong, but killing to protect others is. Weaker than you is something I believe in, and I hope you learn that too, Kai said, watching as Naruto. He kept his head down, thinking about his words. Naruto thought about his sensei's words and again about his head. Nobody ever took care of me, so maybe if I take care of those weaker than me I can prevent people have to go through the same things I did. With that thought in mind, Naruto glared at his sensei, his eyes blazing with fire. Eyes, if I can help people like you helped me, I will, even if I have what to kill! Naruto exclaimed with determination. Well, go and gather everything you think you can. You need, then we'll both go so I can watch you fight, he said, making Naruto run and pick up his supplies. I hope I'm making the right decision, but with the world the way it is, the children at school must be doing something similar, Kwai said to himself, unaware of how wrong he was. Yukia composed, Mito, you'll be late for the academy if you don't get up. Kusina shouted, the last 5 years have treated with affection. She still looked like she was in her 20s, even though she was almost 40 already. I'm coming, Ka-chan! Mito shouted from above. Mito had become a clone of his mother, had been with him for the last 5 years, but he still had some of his father's characteristics, such as his blue eyes and some blonde highlights in her long red hair. Shouting goodbye to her mother, Mito, I headed towards the gates of the compound only to see Sayuri standing there with an annoyed look on her face. And what took you so long? Sayuri asked with a look that said, you'd better have a good explanation. Causing Mito to. She sweated a little under her friend's gaze, a little while as she walked towards. Here I saw this elderly woman who had dropped her shopping, and being the good citizen that I am, I decided to help her, but it turns out she was an enemy ninja and she stole my wallet, so I had to track her down and fight for it back, which it took a while, Mito lied, unaware that the checkmark on Sayuri's head was getting bigger and bigger. Bigger with every passing second. That's a __, exclaimed Sayurikami. You need to stop talking to Kakashi-san, you're starting to act like him. The next thing you know, you'll be reading those orange books, Sayuri said with a small smile as she saw Mito's face pale at the mere mention of it. Thought, that will never happen, not now, not ever. Mito denied that Kami knew what would my mother do if I started reading those books? Anyway, we'll be late if we don't hurry, said Sayuri, who started walking away, leaving Mito behind. Hey, wait! Shouted Mito as she ran after her best friend, Academy, arriving with a minute to spare. Mito and Sayuri sat down next to Nada. Good morning. Nada-chan greeted Mito with a smile as Sayuri nodded gently. Good morning, Mito-chan. Sayuri-chan, are you ready to practice the JJ Jutsu today? She asked. Hinata, I bet you did. I've finally narrowed it down to 2 hand seals. Mito boasted with a smile on his face that only faltered when he saw the 2 expressionless looks his friends gave him. They were giving, it's taken you all this time to get this far, even Shikamaru can do it with a seal of 1 hand and he's the laziest bastard I know, Sayuri said, depressing Mito. It's not my fault, I have enormous chakra reserves and very little control. Mito muttered, provoking laughter from her friends, still depressed by her lack of. Mito made progress, taking her seat just as her sensei Irika entered. Good morning, class. Today we'll review our Jutsuenji, so form a line and get ready to perform it. While the class lined up, and Mito slowly descended the stairs before taking her place in line. Why do I have to do this? I'd rather be doing something cool, Mito thought, with Naruto and Kwai up. From among the trees overlooking the bandits' camp, Kwai watches his nervous student, Naruto. From now on, this is your mission, so make your plan, Kwai said, making Naruto close his eyes and open his senses. There are 26 bandits, 14 are asleep, and 1 is a ninja, but the level of the chakra I sense barely surpasses Chunning's. 4 civilian women and a child who I sense are afraid, but they're unharmed, Naruto said, barely containing his anger at the mention of civilians. Your detection capabilities have improved. Now that you have this information, use it to your advantage and eliminate the threats, he said. Kwai received a nod from Naruto as he jumped from the tree to the camp. Landing behind one of the larger stores, Naruto sneaks inside and finds 2 bandits passed out. Tranquility reigns. She creates 2 ice kunai and those of Goya, silently killing them, fighting back the urge to vomit. Naruto leaves the shop and hides in the shadows of another, repeating the process until only the bandits awake and the ninja. After emerging from the shadows of the tents, Naruto slips away behind the guards. He takes down the prisoners and plunges a kunai into their throats, killing them instantly, approaching the terrified Prisoners, Naruto puts a finger on the mask where his mouth would tell them to be quiet. I'm here to help, I'm going to untie them, but I need them to stay here until I finish eliminating the rest of the bandits. Okay, seeing them nod, Naruto creates a kuna and cut the ropes that bound them. Okay, stay quiet, I'll be back. Just as he was about to leave, Naruto felt a slight tug on his shirt and saw the only boy in the group holding it. Yes? He asked. Naruto, could you save Mika-chan? The man with the headband took her. The boy said with tears in his eyes. Nodding, Naruto headed straight for the largest store in the camp, probably the one belonging to the only ninja in the group, arriving at the tent in record time. While dealing with the bandits who changed their names, Naruto lifted a corner and slipped in. He went inside, but what he saw enraged him. The unknown ninja was tearing the clothes off the poor women while smiling. Naruto, wielding his ice katana, emerged and glared at the man. Stop, you animal! You won't do any more to him. Damage, Naruto said, causing the man to turn to face him and release the women at the same time. Who are you, GDI? And what are you doing here? The man asked with a sneer. I'm here to save the captives. As for who I am, it's simple, I am their executioner, Naruto said as he charged with his ice katana. Smiling at Naruto, the man drew a kuna and blocked the blow. Haha, that's a good one, Gotti, my executioner. Well, it'll be fine. You'd better know my name. So, it's Kmuta Toshi, former Chunin of Kiri, said the now called Toshi, sending a kick at Naruto's chest, who easily dodged it. Your katana is made of ice. You're one of those bloodthirsty monsters the Mizukaji is trying to kill. Maybe if I hand over your corpse, he'll let me go. Naruto returned, throwing his kuna. Toshi began making hand seals, water chain jutsu. Toshi shouted and sending multiple water chains to Naruto without seeing the smile on his opponent's face due to the mask that I was wearing. I'm the worst opponent you could have chosen, and that's why Ice Ball. Naruto shouted, sending an ice ball towards Toshi, who managed to dodge and used his chains to avoid it. He expected it to hit him, but his eyes widened as the ball froze his chains and broke them. He continued, striking his chest, freezing him instantly. Seeing his enemy frozen, but alive, Naruto approached the ice statue and split it in two, shattering it into pieces. He deserved worse, he said. Naruto looked at the former captive who was covering herself with her hands. Naruto saw the fear in her eyes and decided to keep the distance so she would feel more comfortable. Miss, you are safe now. Her son is waiting for her with the other villagers, Naruto said. With those words, Naruto saw the fear in her eyes replaced by relief. Thanks to Kami and Inari, she's safe, and the rest? Are they all okay? The women asked. They're all fine, one. A little shaken, but fine if it's all right with you. I'll walk you to them and then continue on my way, Naruto said upon seeing. The woman nodded. She walked over to her and handed her the bedsheet, allowing her to cover her body. Thank you for save us. My name is Tsunami. What can I call you? Asked the one now called Tsunami. Naruto, my name is Naruto. As he walked silently towards the other former prisoners, Tsunami was suddenly attacked by Inari, who was crying. Cie-chan, you're back, you're really back, please. Don't leave again. Inari cried as he clung to Tsunami, who smiled at his son and began to calm him down. Seeing no reason to stay, Naruto started walking towards the camp gate, but was stopped by the sounds of shouts and footsteps. Naruto, wait! Tsunamis and the others shouted. They were running towards him. Yes? A confused Naruto asked to be sure. What more could they want from him? Thank you for saving us, how can we repay you? Tsunami asked. I don't want anything, Naruto said as he started walking away again, leaving a group. Surprised, hoping he wanted something for saving them, Kwai's location, upon reaching the point of. Upon arriving, Naruto sees his sensei sitting on a rock waiting for him. I see you finished quite quickly, well done. From now on, your training will get harder, are you ready? Kwai asked. Yes, sensei, Naruto said with a bows. Well, from now on we won't be returning to the chamber, Jinsei. I want you to get used to this world, so we'll travel and train. I've already prepared everything for your training, so our first stop will be Snow Country so you can learn more advanced ice manipulation and maybe even create some new techniques. Nodding to their sensei, the two traveled back to the boat they had used for the salute and set off towards the Land of snow, high in the mountains of the snowy land stood a gravestone with a statue. Solid ice in the shape of the liney symbol, seated in front of the gravestone was Naruto, who had gone from being from a boy to a warrior, standing at an impressive 180 m tall, Naruto. He had lost what remained of his baby fat, leaving him with a chiseled and attractive face. The imperfection she had was a fine scar that ran from the top of her eyebrow to the top of her cheek, As the years passed, his clothing hadn't changed much. He still wore black combat trousers and a black shirt. Fitted over this she wore her ice blue trench coat, but with the hood and sleeves torn off, to complete her. He was wearing the traditional Link mask. "It's been a year since you died, Master. I know you said it was because you were far from the Jinsei, but I can't help thinking that your death is my fault. If I hadn't found you, you'd still be alive," Naruto murmured, staring at the words chiseled into the stone, Aquais Lien. "Master of the Lin Kuni, Master, Father figure, I wish you could be here to see me restore the Lin Kuni. But I can take comfort in knowing you're watching over me." Standing up and giving a quick bow, Naruto. He began walking from the grave and descended the mountain towards the small village at the bottom called Sakosiyuki. A small snowfall. As Naruto approached the small town, he lifted his hood to hide his face, not wanting to be recognized by anyone who might be looking for him. Walking through the village towards the door, Naruto attracted curious glances from the people, since it was rare for someone to travel to the small village. Ignoring the stares, Naruto maintained a normal pace and continued towards the gates, but upon arriving he was greeted by 30 samurai. "Sub-Zero-sama, please return to the capital, Aldano. You would like to see him," he said. The samurai in charge of the mission. Ignoring the samurai, Naruto continued walking towards the door, but suddenly he had to dodge a wave of chakra. Turning towards the source of the wave, Naruto saw all the samurai drew their swords. "I'm sorry, Sub-Zero-sama, but the Dano. He has ordered us to bring him here, and that is what we will do," shouted the samurai leader as he and the others. They charged at the annoying Naruto. Not wanting to waste time fighting them, Naruto crossed his arms and fell backwards, disappearing into the ice. He escaped again. "Who? Are you going to tell Kokium that we didn't catch him because I told him so last time?" the now frightened leader said. "Samurai," causing everyone to point to the newest samurai in the group. "He can do it," the group shouted, causing the villagers who watched sweated a drop at the sight of a powerful samurai crying in fear because of what Sadain I. He would do it with Naruto. Having escaped his pursuers, Naruto headed towards the coast to take their boat to the land of waves to resupply, and then to the land of water where he would track his target. Over the past year, Naruto had become a name in the elemental nations upon becoming a bounty hunter under the name Sub-Chero in honor of his master, but with reputation comes notoriety, for after defeating an A-rank rogue ninja, he was listed in the bingo books as an A-rank running, a ninja with no affiliation to a hidden village. Fortunately for Naruto, they had almost no information about him, apart from his fake name and a photo of him. He was wearing his hood. Besides bounty hunting, Naruto participated in. He took on occasional missions if the pay was sufficient. One of his best clients was IWA, as it had few shinobi after him. The last Great War, and another was Kiri, who, with his scarcity after the Civil War, was offered many jobs, something for which he was grateful for. That, and the fact that he found Kurasuchi and Mei adorable, wasn't bad either. Upon reaching the coast, Naruto climbs aboard his small sailboat and heads out onto the waves for the first time in 5 years, Konoha at the same time. In the last 5 years, Konoha had changed with many events, but one of the most devastating was the Ukiya massacre. Almost all the Ukiya, except for the children and some civilians, and Mikoto, were killed by Amiko Uchiha, Mikoto's daughter, and an ANBU captain, now an S-rank ninja, Team 7, which consisted of Kakashi's attack. Mito Uzumaki, Sayuri Ukiya, and Kibainazuka, was ready to explode from the number of D-rank missions they had to do, namely, catching the demon cat Tori, in the last 5. Over the years, Mito had grown from a child into a young woman who looked and acted exactly like her mother. Hair, long, red hair, porcelain white skin, and a beautiful face and figure that made me drool. Sayuri had, having become a carbon copy of his mother Mikoto, something for which the men of Konoha were grateful. He had long black and blue hair, smooth white skin, and a beautiful face and body. Kiba looked like a typical Inuzuka, wild and spiky brown hair, red fangs on both cheeks and a coat with fur around it. By the neck, now Team 7 stood before Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage and Kusuna's ex-husband. Uzumaki, mission accomplished, sensei, said Kakashi without looking up from his book, much to Minato's annoyance. Very good. Would you like another mission? We have many high-rank missions to complete, Minato asked, seeing his student ready to shout. Kakashi spoke first. Actually, sensei, I think you're ready for a C-rank mission, Kakashi said. Using his trademark eye smile, very well, Kakashi, send Tazuna over, he ordered. Minato and without delay entered a man wearing a straw hat and drinking from a jug. I'm the super bridge builder Tazuna, and I wanted super protection. How are these kids going to protect me? The one from Redhead looks like a tomato, the gloomy girl looks like she'll cut herself more than the enemy, and that kid has a dog. What? Is he going to do that? Those bandits can piss on each other. At the end of Tazuna's speech, Kakashi and the Emba had to stop the three genin from beating the man until he was black and blue. Don't worry. Sir, I'm a seasoned joust and I can handle a couple of bandits, Kakashi said. Still preventing Mito and Sayuri hit the old man. After discussing the time they would meet at the door, Team 7 went home to prepare for the Uzumaki house mission. Upon arriving home, Mito Kachan, who cooks to watch her mother wearing her honing uniform with her hair tied back in a ponytail. I finally got a C-rank mission. I know I can help you find Nichan, Mito exclaimed happily as she hugged her mother. For the past 11 years, Kusina had been searching. She saw signs of Naruto on every mission she took. She had even asked Jiraiya to help her search, but without success. Not a day went by that Kusina didn't cry for the loss of her son, even though she had no right to call him that. Great, Mito-chan, what's the mission? Kusina asked, hoping that it wasn't anything too dangerous for his daughter. He was just protecting a builder of drunken bridges who lives on the wave. I wanted to protect a prince, but instead I got stuck with a drunken old man, Mito exclaimed, making Kusina laugh at her daughter. After talking with her mother for a while, Mito packed her equipment and heads towards the door without seeing the worried look on Kusina's face. Konoha Gate, then Emo. When will your teacher and that tomato girl arrive? Tazuna asked without realizing it. Or perhaps he simply didn't care about the look Sayuri was giving him. Kakashi-sensei. She usually arrives late, and I wouldn't be surprised if Mito stopped to eat ramen on the way here, Sayuri said, not sensing the person behind her. That hurts, you know? Sayuri-chan, do you think so badly of your sensei? Kakashi asked, making Sayuri jump in fright. Staring at her laughing sensei and teammate, Sayuri tried to regain control of her breathing. 5 minutes later, Mito came running with a smile on her face, but she dropped it when she saw the angry look on the faces of his teammates. Oh, sorry, I'm late, my Kachan had something important to talk to me about, Mito said, causing her classmates to cover their faces with their hands. And Kakashi laughed too. Mio-chan, you still have noodles around your mouth, Kakashi said, making a face. Mito's hair matched hers in embarrassment. Mito quickly wipes the noodles off her face and forms around Tazuna and begin their journey to say hello. As they walked along the dirt path toward the wave, Kiba grew bored with the silence and decided to ask Tazuna a few questions. Hey Taz, do we have our own ninja? Kiba asked, making Tazuna shake his head. No, we have some samurai. But that's all. That's why we have so many problems with bandits. People are kidnapped or simply murdered. Because they feel like it. I almost lost my daughter 5 years ago because of the bandit problem, Tazuna replied, terrified by the fact that he might have lost his daughter. Tazuna, did you almost tell us how your daughter escaped? Asked Sayuri, a little curious about Mito and Kiba. Kakashi, who was listening in, secretly pretending to read her book. I don't know all the details, but Tsunami, the daughter and her son-in-law, along with other women, were taken to a large bandit camp, but not even an hour after they were taken away, the group returned to the village talking about a child. Tazuna replied, waking up the curiosity of everything about who this child was. So, old man, who was that the boy your daughter was talking about? Mito asked, making a mark on her forehead. She said she never knew his name. But she said she had white and blue hair, pale white skin, a chiseled face, and, as she herself said, the bluer eyes than you could ever see. Tazuna replied, somewhat annoyed by the description his daughter had given him. He and the other two men overlooked the slight pinkish tinge in Sayuri Yamato's face. They continued walking, passing through puddles of water, something Kakashi noticed shouldn't be there. But a second too late, when men leaped from them with chains that entangled Kakashi, tearing him apart. Pieces, terrifying the genin. Tazuna, one less, said one of the ninjas. For more to go, said the other as they both charged at the frightened genin. Overcoming her fear, Mito pulls out a kuna and blocks the metal claw aimed at her head, but she never saw the. She closed her eyes for a second, but heard a familiar voice. Fireball Jutsu! Sayuri shouted, sending a huge fireball towards the ninjas, making them curse as they were forced to dodge. Better than I thought you'd be, but you're no match for us. They both shouted together as they threw their chains at Tazuna, but stopped when Trace Kuna nailed them down. The chain on a tree, no more chains for you bastards, let's go. Akamaru fan passing by, Fan shouted, heading straight for the two ninjas, forcing them to dodge. They all forgot about the other two until they heard something familiar. Fireball Jutsu shouted. Sayuri took them by surprise and struck them dead, resulting in screams of pain from both of them as the flesh burned, killing them. The four watched as the two ninjas were burned alive in a hell of fire, unable to look away until the smell reached their noses and made them vomit on the spot. Still vomiting his insides, Kakashi emerges from behind a tree, surprising everyone. Sensei! Are you still alive? Exclaimed Mito, Kiba, and Sayuri. Yes, and I'm very proud. How did the three of you perform today? Kakashi said, pleased with the way his team fought against the two. But Sensei, I killed someone. Sayuri murmured with tears in her eyes. And I've killed hundreds, it's a ninja's job to kill. Kakashi stated, trying to make him see why he had to. Sayuri nodded to her sensei and walked away from her team to do it. To reflect on what had happened, Kakashi let him ask Tazuna a few questions. So, Tazuna, what's going on? What's really happening on the wave? Kakashi asked, making Tazuna lower his head and tell them what was going on. Passing, after hearing Tazuna's sad story about Nami Kanai, the Team 7 decided to continue with the mission to greet everyone. Walking along the path in silence, Mito decided to break away. The silence then, Tazuna, your daughter said that a boy younger than us. He saved her. How? Mito asked, wanting to know how a boy younger than her could have killed so many bandits. Well, she never went into details, not that I can blame her. All she said was that he tore apart the one who tried to hurt him. Tazuna replied, confusing them and himself about how he had destroyed a man, perhaps. Whether it's a new bloodline or even a personal jutsu. Kakashi suggested, considering possible solutions, since in that era, as a shinobi, I had never heard of anyone capable of destroying another before. As they continued there. After several journeys, they finally reached the shore, where they looked for a ship to take them across the sea. People denied them passage, but they finally found an old man willing to take them to Namino Kanai. Unfortunately, they would be trapped in the small boat for hours, myth. And if they were honest, the other two couldn't take it much longer, this ship. It's driving me crazy. Mito finally shouted, receiving nods of agreement from her teammates. Mito, stop shouting. Kaka looked up from his orange book. We have to stay in silence and your screams can probably be heard a mile away. Also, it will probably arrive to land soon. Kakashi was right, for a structure emerged from the mist. A stone bridge that spanned almost the entire water. Is that the bridge? Kiba asked. Who had never seen such a big bridge? Yes, Tazuna replied, looking at his. I'm almost there, Tazuna said, making the three genins silently thank Kami. They were fed up with being on the ship. The rest of the journey passed in silence. Finally, they arrived at They reached the shore, where the boatman wished them luck and departed for the return journey. Once again, they had quite a trip. He was walking peacefully through the forest until suddenly Kakashi heard a strange whistling sound. Duck! Kakashi yelled, pushing Tazuna to the ground while a ridiculous sword. A large object flew over their heads and crashed into a tree. What the hell was that? Mito shouted from the ground. He saw the great sword stuck in a tree above their heads. Oh! The Kubi Caribou. Cho! Kakashi said, looking at the sword embedded in the tree. That means. Momochi Zabuza at your service, said a man jumping onto the sword embedded in the tree before doing a sarcastic bow. He was pale, with short, spiky black hair, and the lower half of his face was covered in bandages. He also wore a kiriyate, a type of headdress sideways on his head, but instead of the usual symbol, his was crossed out, identifying him as a nuclear ninja, Mamaki Zabuza. Demon of the Hidden Mist, Kakashi said. I figured as much, considering him to be one of the demon brothers from before you're here. By Tazuna, right? Good guess, Sharingan. No, Kakashi, Zabuza replied, then you'll hand it over for the good guys come back, Kakashi said. This guy is on a completely different level. New compared to the others, against him. Even I admit it will be a bit difficult without this. Having said that, he lifted his Ida and ate, revealing his other eye. But this one was red with a three-tone black design. I already used your Sharingan. I feel honored. Kun said that sensei had the Sharingan, he thought. Sayuri, but this is the first time I've seen him use it. Surround and protect Tazuna, Kakashi told his team. Hurry, I want to kill the old man and be done with this, Zabuza said. But imitator, it seems I'll have to kill you first. No? Zabuza jumped into the water near them and stood on it. Suetun. Kariga no Jutsu. Zabuza whispered, disappearing into a rapidly thickening mist rising from the water. Damn it, how did he know? Kakashi said. The Sharingan can't see through this mist. 8 kill points. Zabuza said from somewhere in the fog, liver, lungs, kidney, brain, spine, clavicular vein, larynx, and heart. Which should I choose? Ha, it'll take more than that to scare us, Kiba shouted. Oh, the Gaki has a couple, let's see what I can do about it. Suddenly, the air was filled with murderous intent, causing Kiba and the others froze in fear. What is this? Kiba thought as he trembled with fear. For her part, Sayuri was almost equally affected. This is the murderous intent of a Honing, she thought, feeling the rising ki in the air. This is insane. I can't stand it. I prefer die now. Almost against his will, his hand began to raise a kunai toward his neck. Beside him, Mito, who seemed relatively impassive in the face of the amount of ki emitted by the two Hano. What are you doing? He shouted, pushing Sayuri's arm down. You're trying to kill yourself, I knew it. You were emo, thanks, said Sayuri, eyeing her arm suspiciously. I don't know what I was doing that, don't worry, Sayuri, Kakashi said. I won't let my comrades die, said Zabuza from the fog. We'll see. Suddenly he appeared from among the fog was rushing towards the students of Team 7 who were surrounding Tazuna. With Kiba paralyzed by fear and Sayuri still trying to defend herself and her own arm, Mito had to defend herself. He grabbed a kunai, stood in front of Tazuna, and growled at Zabuza. However, Zabuza, he didn't make it halfway there. Kakashi knocked him down. Nice try, Kakashi said. But it takes more than that to threaten my students in charge. Zabuza jumped up, pushing aside. Kakashi was shoved aside. They both stood facing each other without even moving. Suddenly, Zabuza lunged at Kakashi, but instead of attacking him directly, he jumped on him with a somersault, dropping him with the sword in midair. To his surprise, Kakashi didn't. He was able to counterattack in time, so Zabuza cut off his head. However, instead of blood gushing out, Kakashi simply dissolved into water, Zabuza thought. Mizabunsen. As he watched Kakashi dissolve into a puddle, but it's impossible that he copied my techniques in the fog. Oh, that was really impressive, Kakashi said. Zabuza, you had your clone distract me while you were hiding among the fog all around me, watching me. So you've got it all figured out. Right, Kakashi said, walking towards Zabuza. What a shame, I was going to use a big one. Strategy against you, but obviously you've got it all figured out, right? Zabuza instead of attacking Kakashi, he simply ran into the forest. Sensei, can I? It smells like it has several clones scattered around to confuse you, but the real one is right in front of you. Kiba shouted to Kakashi. Thank you, Kiba, Kakashi said. So an Inazuka, huh? He said. The real Zabuza walking towards Kakashi. I should have known, since he has a dog. Oh well, I guess not. I can just clone you, right? No, Kakashi replied, smiling at him. I suppose? No, well, I guess it doesn't matter, does it? Said Zabuza. Because no. I need clones to win this. With that, Zabuza vanished at top speed, reappearing behind. Kakashi turned to deflect her sword with a kunai. Their blades crossed for half a second before Kakashi ducked beneath him, intending to plunge the kunai into his stomach. Instead, Zabuza. He quickly raised his knee to connect with Kakashi's head before spinning back out of reach. They faced off in a duel, circling each other, Kakashi with his kuna and Zabuza with his sword. Suddenly, Zabuza lunged again at Kakashi, who barely managed to deflect the sword, forcing it to pass within millimeters. From his head, however, he could not stop the sword's return, which pierced him before dissolving back into water. Zabuza cursed before hearing the copy ninja attack. After a few seconds of waiting, he attacked, leaping into the air to try and strike Zabuza from above. Zabuza raised his sword raised above his body, attempting to cut Kakashi as he descended, but Kakashi turned violently to one side, diverting its fall away from Zabuza. Upon reaching the ground, it threw its cradle and towards the back of Zabuza's neck. Zabuza, before turning to deflect Kakashi's hand with the back of his arm, didn't wait. He raised a kunai with his other hand that Zabuza couldn't completely avoid, resulting in a long cut, but superficial on the front of his chest. "You'll pay for that, scarecrows," he said. Zabuza lowered his sword towards Kakashi, who barely managed to duck to head at him in the chest. Zabuza rose up. With a simple attack before retreating several meters, he stood up right at time to deflect another kunai from Kakashi, bringing his sword towards Kakashi's chest. Kakashi jumped above Kubikabuchi's strike before throwing another kunai towards Zabuza, who ducked away from Kakashi. Raising his sword to prevent Kakashi from following him, Zabuza approached Kakashi again, holding his sword at his side as if he were going to throw it diagonally. Instead, he used it as counterbalance, raising his leg to kick Kakashi in the head, sending him flying. Kakashi. It landed in the water, swimming down to retreat before attacking again. "Bad move, scarecrows," Zabuza said, approaching the water. "Suiton. Surijutsu," he said, raising some of the water and forming a sphere with Kakashi. "No, I can't do anything from here," Kakashi thought. "Jei is a little more. It's difficult when you can't move, isn't it?" Zabuza sneered. "Well then, I'll take care of you, Mizunin Jutsu," he shouted, forming a clone to attack the team. 7. "You're not the only one who can create clones, Kejbunin no Jutsu," Mito shouted. Forming 10 clones that formed a line between Team 7 and Zabuza, all the clones growled at him aggressively towards Zabuza, holding kunai in a defensive stance. Said the Zabuza clone, looking at the clones. "It's amazing that a kid like you can create shadow clones. You are exceptional. Most jonin couldn't create 10, but you're still going to lose. Do you know why?" He didn't answer. "Myth, I'm not going to lose. Yes, you are. You're weak," Zabuza mocked, "all of you. They have been pampered, treated like children instead of the killers they should be." "What?" said Mito. "That's not true, Zabuza scoffed. "By the time I graduated, my hands were already stained with blood, and not just me. Do you know how shinobi graduated in Kiriga?" Mito didn't answer, but what does that have to do with anything? For any student to graduate in Kiri, Zabuza said, you had to fight to the death against another student in your class. How sick, why would they do that? Mito shouted too. "We must ensure that our shinobi are true shinobi who will kill without regard for anything. But killing your friends to become a ninja is a horrible thing. I never did it," Zabuza said, making Kiba laugh in the background. "Oh yes," Kiba asked. "But you're telling me your hands were bloody when you graduated?" "I did," Zabuza said. "But instead of engaging in a duel, I chose to kill them all." "That's right, a class of over 100 students," Kakashi said, "and you killed them all in a single day. That earned him the nickname Demon of the Hidden Mist." Not wanting to waste any more time, Zabuza's clone rushed towards Mito's clone army, but before he could, as soon as it arrived, it froze along with Mito's shadow clones. A dense, cold fog formed around the water. Well, I expected my target to be easy to find, but upon finding not only Zabuza, but also "My luck is better than usual," said a male voice from within the mist, referring to Kakashi with the Sharingan. As the fog cleared, a man 180 m tall, dressed in trousers of a black combat jacket and a fitted black shirt were there. Over this, he wore his ice blue trench coat with hood and a balaclava. "Zabuza Momochi, the enchanting Mizukuji. He wants you back in Kiri," the man said, surprising Zabuza and making him forget about the team. 7. "What does that lunatic want from me? He's still angry because I tried to kill him," Zabuza said, discreetly sending his hidden friend in case things got ugly. "Oh yeah, you don't know there's a new Mizukuji since the rebels won the war. Do you know her? I think Miruni sounds familiar, seriously." Mayukaji, I'm surprised men are still allowed in Kiri, Zabuza said, making the man laugh. So, will they? You and your friend here with me? I need to get my money for your collection. The man asked. You must be important. If you entrust me with this job, then who are you? My name is Sub-Zero, he said, now called Sub-Zero, with a small bow. Seriously, me is the Mizukuji, me. It's surprising that men are still allowed in Kiri, Zabuza said, making the man laugh. So, will you and your friend, are you here with me? I need to get my money for your collection. The man asked. You must be important. I entrusted you with this job, then, who are you? My name is Sub-Zero, he said. He called Sub-Zero with a small bow. There was silence until Kiba burst out laughing. Haha, what a stupid name! Suddenly, the water surrounding Sub-Zero froze and the air grew colder, sending chills down everyone's spine. My late master gave me this name, which he obtained from his brother, said Sub-Zero, looking coldly at Kiba, making him groan silently at the coldness of her gaze. Excuse my student, Sub-Zero-san, he didn't want to insult him, right, Kiba? Kakashi asked with a look that said, apologize or else. Yes, I'm sorry. Sub-Zero-san, said Kiba, bowing slightly. The cold air disappeared. Well, if you hadn't apologized, I would have impaled you on an ice spear, Sub-Zero said, making the genin. Tazuna paled, and Zabuza smiled respectfully. I like your style, kid. Maybe someday you can become as infamous as me. Zabuza smiled, already liking this kid. Sorry, Zabuza, but I'm already in the bingo book as an A-rank Runin, Sub-Zero said, making the two jonin. Their eyes widened in shock, and the genin's mouths hung open. What A __ you are for your age, how? Can he be that famous? Yeah. Mito shouted. Sub-Zero looked at the rest of Kakashi's team for the first time, looking at him. She saw her mother as her spitting image. With a few minor differences, she didn't care that her former sister was there. Sub-Zero looked at the other team member and saw a raven-haired beauty who reminded him of someone. But I couldn't identify who. Just look at the bingo book, they placed me there, after I was attacked by a couple of A-rank ninjas who thought they could kill me. They're all idiots. They offered little resistance. All they had to offer was a little money, and even that was hardly worth it, he said. Sub-Zero, making everyone except Zabuza think the same thing. He's so cold, ha ha ha. I like your style, kid. It reminds me of myself, Zabuza said, who liked this kid more and more. Thank you very much. Zabuza, that's enough talk. If you could signal your partner, we'll leave, Naruto said. Making Zabuza sigh. I'm sorry, kid, but I can go back. Not yet, at least I need to finish this mission and if you help me, we can get back to Kiri faster. Kakashi froze, realizing there was no way of facing two A-rank ninjas and defending his gene, cursing himself for not having sent with reinforcements. Kakashi waited to see how events would unfold, hoping that something would go their way. Pretending to think about it for a moment, Sub-Zero replied, Sorry, Zabuza, but I have a couple of people on the wave. They are acquaintances of mine, and it would be terrible of me to simply let them die, Sub-Zero said, causing Kakashi, Tazuna and the genin let out a sigh. They hadn't realized they were holding back, and here I was, brat, starting to fall for him. Fine, but it seems I have to kill you along with the others. He pointed his sword at Sub-Zero, who smiled with satisfied, delighted to fight a strong opponent, but suddenly, 3 needles flew out of the forest, direct attacks aimed at Zabuza's neck, nearly causing him to fall to the ground, and a man wearing a Kiri ninja hunter mask. He appeared and hoisted Zabuza onto his shoulder. Thank you, I've been following him for a while. Don't waste your breath, I know that. You're not a ninja hunter, you work with Zabuza. I'm here to rescue you. Remember? Sub-Zero said, making the ninja hunter blush beneath his mask, not that it was noticeable. Without saying another word, the fake ninja hunter disappeared in a swirl of snow, greatly intriguing Sub-Zero. Perhaps Lin Kuei's lineage isn't as dead as I once believed then. Sub-Zero-shan, you will be him. That was as far as Kakashi got before he fainted. What did you do to Sensei? Mito shouted. I didn't do anything to Kakashi, he's suffering from a mild case of chakra depletion, Sub-Zero explained. Why? Should we believe you? Mito tried to argue, her face flushed, even though she knew she had embarrassed herself. Believe what you want, but for now, take your sensei and we'll head towards the wave. Sub-Zero ordered in a voice that he said. Do as I say, or I'll hurt you. Although reluctantly following his orders, Mito creates a pair of clones of Shadow to carry Kakashi and the rest of the way to Nami-no-Kuni, Nami no Kunai, after a long and the painful walk. Team 7, Tazuna and Sub-Zero arrived to say hello, but received very strange looks as they walked towards Tazuna's house, since it's not every day you see a group of 4 teenagers, identical figures carrying an unconscious man. Ignoring the stares they received, the group arrived at the house of Tazuna and they called, "Tsunami-chan, I'm home." Tazuna shouted. The next thing that what the ninjas knew was that the door suddenly opened and Tazuna was hugged by someone whom Sub-Zero recognized. "Tusan, I'm so glad you're back. Are you alright?" Tsunami asked. Frantically, she looked at her father to see if he was hurt. "Stop worrying about me, I'm fine thanks to these ninjas, especially the 2 masked ones," Tazuna said, making Tsunami turn from looking at the unconscious man. Kakashi looked worried. Turning to the other masked ninja, he gasped as he recognized a peculiar mask. "What's wrong, Tsunami-chan?" her father asked when he saw his daughter crying at the sight of the masked ninja. "And hooded, it really is you, Tsunami." With a slight nod, she runs towards him and hugs him with force, surprising everyone. "What the hell?" exclaimed the genin and Tazuna. Without knowing what was happening, Tsunami let go of the hug and dried her eyes. "I still can't believe you're here, and no one will be thrilled. I've been wanting to see you again for a long time," Tsunami and Taba said, guiding Sub-Zero toward the house, leaving the others stunned by what had just happened. They decide to follow the couple to the house, and see Tsunami drag Sub-Zero to the sofa and tell him to sit down. Which he did, but not before lowering his hood and showing everyone his wild white-blue barred hair, surprising everyone, except Tsunami because of the color. "It's been a while, as Tsunami," he said. Sub-Zero awkwardly, unsure what to say. "That's all you can say after you left the way you did." "You did it," Tsunami almost shouted in annoyance. That was all he said after years of not seeing each other. "What? Do you want me to tell you? I met you one night and I haven't seen you since," Naruto said, making Tsunami. He blushed at the way it sounded. The 3 genin had to stop Tazuna from trying to hit Sub-Zero. "After what I had just said, but you left, all I got was a quick goodbye." The others too. They were disappointed. The 3 genin blushed at what they heard, but for Tazuna, that was the point. Boiling over, charging into the room, dragging 3 genin behind him, he pointed at Sub-Zero with, "Lint in my eyes, what the hell did you do to my daughter?" That was all Sub-Zero he managed to say, without having any idea what the old man was talking about. "Tusan, it's nothing like that," Tsunami shouted, blushing. "Damn! Who do you 2 know? Who's your secret lover? And what? Was that what you said about the others? That means he has more women than you. What happened to my sweet, innocent daughter?" "Bara whined," Tazuna shouted, making Tsunami blush until she reached a atomic level. "Shut up, Tan!" Tsunami shouted instantly, causing Tazuna stopped, and Naruto covered his ears in pain. "Damn Tsunami, I heard you scream like that since the last time I was here," Sub-Zero complained, covering his ears. "I'll kill you!" Tazuna yelled, only to be struck with a frying pan wielded by Tsunami. "That's enough, Tone, you're completely wrong. He was the one who saved me, Inar, and the villagers 5 years ago." Tazuna and the genin, who? They were still holding him back, their eyes widened in shock, not expecting that Sub-Zero was the one who saved them. Villagers so many years ago. "Wait, are you saying he was the boy who? Did he save you?" Tazuna asked, still holding his injured head. "Yes, Tusan, he's the one who saved me and the others from the bandits, but he saved me from a worse fate, without saying." In other words, Tazuna politely asked the genin to release him, which they did. He walked toward the confused Sub-Zero and bowed to him with tears in his eyes. Thank you so much. You don't need to bow before me, Tazuna. I only did what anyone would do. Besides, if you want, you should thank someone, my master, since he's the one who sent me on this mission." Closes his eyes tearfully. "Then, I'd like to thank your teacher. Where is he?" Tazuna asked, wanting to show his gratitude. "I'm sorry, but as I said before, my master is dead. I'm sorry. I just wanted to thank the man who helped save my daughter. Anyway, no problem." Tazuna. Sub-Zero. "Look at the 4 clones still holding Kakashi. Why are they still here? Go and put Kakashi down somewhere." "Place," Sub-Zero ordered. I prepared some rooms for you beforehand, follow me. And I'll show you where they can. But Kakashi-san, the clones followed Tsunami into the room, leaving Tazuna, Sub-Zero, and the genin were all looking at him curiously, something that bothered him a lot. Are you going to continue looking at me? Sub-Zero asked, prompting Sayuri to speak for the first time since she had appeared. Who are you? I already told you. My name is Sub-Zero, yes, but who are you? You're of a certain age and still. That makes you much stronger. Do you know Tsunami-san? You even know the Mizukuji personally, so. I'll ask again, who are you? Just take a bingo book. Most of my information is there, that was the only answer he gave. We don't have a bingo book, so. Tell us. Mito and Kiba shouted, causing everyone else to cover their ears in pain. Dear Raiden. That hurts. If you can get your friends to shut up, I'll lend you mine to look at. Sub-Zero said, which made Sayuri agreed immediately. She handed over her bingo book. The three Geninjutazuna opened it and saw many names were crossed out in black. What's with that black line on people's names? Kiba asked. They're all the people I have hunted and killed. The four of them were speechless when they saw the number of names crossed out in the book. Forget about that for now. They skimmed the book until they found their page. Anonymous, Sub-Zero title, age 15, 18, date of birth, unknown, blood type unknown. Height 5 feet 11 inches, weight 136,178 pounds. Rank A, affiliation, Ronin, bounty hunter, mercenary. Description: he has white hair with blue streaks and has been seen wearing a blue hooded trench coat along with a blue face mask. Skills 10, Ninjutsu 9, Genjutsu 10. Unknown, Taijutsu 8, Kenjutsu 8, Funijutsu 9. Information: no. Much is known about him, but he has always managed to capture a target or complete a mission. He is friends with Inoki from both sides. Scales: Sandai Metsuikuji, c. page 55, Kuratsuchi of the Lave style, c. page 89a, the Yondaime, Reikiji, c. page 72, Killer Bee, c. page 73. Imitarumi Leodame Mizukuji, c. page 79 is known for training with Yaku B. Suna rewards 50,000 R, dead or alive. Odo rewards 61,000 R, dead or alive. AM rewards 42,000 R, dead or alive. I'm alive. Approach with extreme caution. After reading his page, the four of them. They were speechless. What the hell? The four of them shouted, making Sub-Zero, who was sitting on the sofa talking to Tsunami, turned to face them. Did that answer your questions? Sub-Zero asked, using Kakashi's smile, that only raised more questions. Sayuri exclaimed, provoking a soft laugh from Sub-Zero. Yes, she said, turning towards Tsunami, who had an amused but also confused expression on her face, asked, What were you reading? Tsunami wanted to know why the four were so surprised. It's a book that gives you information about dangerous ninjas, and they read my page, Sub-Zero replied, which awakened in Tsunami the desire to read as well. He approached the four, still shaken, picked up the book that had fallen, and read it. A few minutes later, a sound. The familiar sound reached Sub-Zero's ears. What the hell? Annoyed by the constant shouting, Sub-Zero goes upstairs to check on Kakashi, leaving 5 surprised people behind. Upon entering the room where Kakashi was being held, he finds the Jonin awake and reading his book. I see you're. I'm awake, Kakashi, said Sub-Zero, making the Jonin close his book and look at him with his usual smile. Yes. But I still have very little chakra. TCH, you've weakened, Kakashi, your name. I used to be feared by most, and now look at you. You would have died if I hadn't shown up, not to mention your team and your clients were killed. Kakashi lowered his head in shame, knowing that what he said was true. Anyway, you have a week at most before Zabuza returns, so you'd better get your team ready. Sub-Zero-san, could you teach my students, please? I've run out of chakra, Kakashi asked. Hoping to have more time to read his book. They are your students. Kakashi, not mine. I only plan to teach those I deem worthy. Not to some Genin Salazars who have an incompetent teacher. I understand your point, Sub-Zero-san, but while I'm teaching my students, could you keep an eye on the bridge in case Gato decides to send his bandits there? There? I can do that, and with that, Sub-Zero left, leaving Kakashi alone. This is going to be a long mission. Oh, how Kakashi wished he could control time. For others, that power would be used to save lives or to rule the world, but for Kakashi, he only wanted the power to end this. The week was abandoned by the Kami. Since their team and Sub-Zero arrived in a wave, they've had an argument after. Another example ranges from Tazuna yelling at Sub-Zero for corrupting his daughter to his students complaining to him about his training, but fortunately for Kakashi, the mission was almost over, not that he would have done much during this mission, besides reading his book, letting his students prepare, and Sub-Zero. He would guard the bridge, leaving it alone for the first time in a week. Finally, no more shouting. I thought I'd go deaf a couple of times this week, Kakashi muttered as he turned a page in his notebook. Suddenly, a cold breeze swept through the room, sending a shiver down Kakashi's spine. Looking up from his book, he saw Sub-Zero with an angry expression. Already guessing what was going on, Kakashi. He put the book away with a sigh of disappointment. What did they do this time? Kakashi asked for the 7th time this week. For the past hour, your 3 students have done nothing but annoy me with a barrage of questions. From my fighting style to my hair color, so I've come to give you a warning. If you don't leave me alone, I'll impale everyone with ice spears! Shouted an angry Sub-Zero. Kakashi paled, knowing he would do it. Nodding his head, the angry bounty hunter Kakashi sighs in relief as Sub-Zero leaves with a small breeze. Why do you have to anger the guy who could kill you and probably me? Said the Cyclops. Before taking out a familiar orange book, laugh, I me you are a mischievous girl, bridge of waves, appearing in an ice whirlpool. Sub-Zero sees Team 7 sitting and talking about something, not caring in the slightest, and walks towards them. Builders and sits down ignoring the looks he was receiving from them. Sitting in silence for the first time since this mission began, Sub-Zero began to think about the current situation. So I have a team made up of my ex-sister, an Uchiha who hasn't unlocked his Sharingan, and a kid who he uses a puppy to fight, all being taught by a master more incompetent than the entire Leaf Village. He was able to find it, great, simply great. He was pulled from his thoughts when he sensed the 3 genin standing there in front of him, as I just warned your sensei, if you asked me any more questions without. In that sense, I'll impale them all on ice spears, warned Sub-Zero, causing the 3 genin and builders to. They were listening, paling at the threat. Actually, we wanted to ask you something, Mito said a little. He looked paler and still thought about the threat. I don't care, so leave me alone. In peace, Sub-Zero replied. This time it was Kiba who spoke. Please, listen to us. Okay, hurry up and ask your question, without needing to be told twice. All 3 bowed. Please, show us, the genin asked. No, Sub-Zero replied without hesitation. What? Why? Shouted Mito and Kiba, angry that someone had rejected them so quickly. Sayuri remained calm, as she expected that kind of response. I said no, that I won't teach it to anyone other than my children or those who join my clan, Sub-Zero replied. Receiving nods of understanding from Kiba and Sayuri, but Mito was different, since she didn't have a clan. I don't. Your clan doesn't matter or anything like that, I just want you to teach me those awesome techniques. Mito shouted. You don't have the necessary to join the Lin Kuni, Sub-Zero said, angering Mito. That's it, I'm fed up with your attitude towards us, so fight me and I'll show you I have what it takes, Mito shouted, causing Sub-Zero to laugh darkly. Well then, I challenge you to a death match, Sub-Zero declared, confusing all the genin. What the hell is Mortal Kombat? Kiba asked. Me? I'm glad you asked. Was deadly combat ever the way people resolve disputes like the one you were talking about? Are we having now, fighting until one can no longer fight to the death? Sub-Zero replied, He made everyone who heard him pale. Isn't that going too far? He asked. Sayuri was worried about her friend, since her opponent was an A-rank ninja. Don't worry, Sayuri-chan, I'll kick his ass. Frozen but, I'm dating, Mito shouted, fire in his eyes. Don't fool yourself, girl, you can't beat me even if your team helps you, Sub-Zero mocked, angering the 3 genin, but that's enough for now, we'll fight later, because unlike some, I intend to do the job I'm supposed to. They paid me, and with that, he closed his eyes and began to meditate, walking away, but still angry with mercenary Team 7, he heads to the forest to help Mito practice for her next fight. They are some annoying brats, but at least I can see what he can do in a fight. Sub-Zero thought, wanting to see how his ex-sister compared herself to him. 2 days later, standing in a clearing. Sub-Zero was dressed normally, except he was missing his trench coat. Mito was standing in front of him, looking at him, staring intently at Kakashi, who was standing between them. That's fine, as Sub-Zero said. Sean, this is a deathmatch challenge, anything goes, but please try to avoid fatal blows by taking them. The two fighters nodded. Continue. Well then, if everyone's ready, let's fight. This isn't worth it, said Sub-Zero, remaining standing in a lazy posture, reminding everyone to. Kakashi, don't underestimate me, you bastard, water bullet jutsu, Mito shouted. He launched a large water cannonball at Sub-Zero, who crossed his arms and shook his head in disappointment. That's it. Everything, I expected more. Unleashing an icy aura, everyone watched as the bullet. Water froze in the air and fell to the ground, shattering. See you, bench. What the hell just happened, sensei? Kibayakema shouted. Camera barked in agreement. I think Sub-Zero has a lineage, and a very powerful one at that, Kakashi said, a serious look in his eyes. A lineage, you mean the Sayuri's family, and those chains that Mito and her mother can use? Kina asked, receiving a smile from her. Sensei, yes, Kiba, but unlike the Uchiha clan, I believe his lineage involves ice. I've noticed that when he's emotional, the air gets colder, and when you insulted him, the lake he was standing on froze, that and more. Threatening to impale us all on ice spears, Kakashi ended up making Kiba and Sayuri slap each other. The face, how could I not have thought of that? Back to the fight, what the hell was that? That? Cried Mito, frightened that one of her best righteous men had been stopped so easily. That was it. What happened to kicking my frozen ass? Sub-Zero mocked. I'm not finished yet, you bastard. Mito shouted, running towards the motionless figure. Sub-Zero launched a high kick to her head, almost knocking it off. Sub-Zero. She dodged, causing her kick to crash into the air. Without realizing it, she was thrown against a tree thanks to a punch to the stomach. That's really all the daughter of the big yellow flash can do, not even. He can't even take a small hit. If Sanoki were here, we would be laughing uproariously, Sub-Zero said, shaking his head in disappointment, lying against the tree. She too. He was punched. Mito grew angrier with each passing moment. Mito's mental landscape. Observing from the depths of his mind, two large eyes watched the current scene with amusement as they felt the pull on their chakra. This is about to get more interesting. Back in the fight, Sub-Zero watched as Mito's body was enveloped in a layer of menacing red chakra. I'm already using the fox's power. Well, let's see if this helps you. Sub-Zero mocked, making the girl. She would growl and charge at him on all fours, with a single chakra tail moving behind her, dodging a. Sub-Zero attacks Mito with an uppercut, but this time she dodges it, and uses her tail to deliver another blow. Quickly dodging the tail, he jumps on Mito, makes hand signals, and places his hands on the ground. Ice release, frozen moorland causing all the clearing, including the trees, to become covered in ice. I could end this fight right now, but where's the fun in that? Show me what you can do, daughter of the yellow flash, Sub-Zero mocked, further enraging Mito, standing. Mito hunched over and said something that surprised him, adamantine chains, for assault chains unleashing. Four bright red chains extended from his back toward a still shocked Sub-Zero. He hadn't expected to inherit his mother's bloodline. Too late to move, the chains ensnared him, and Mito smiled, thinking he had won. Ha, you're not so arrogant anymore, Mito mocked. Bench. Ha, Mito, teach that bastard something, Kia shouted as Ayuri. She stood there, amazed that her best friend had just defeated an A-rank ninja. It's not over yet, she said. Kakashi made the two genin look at him in confusion. What are you talking about, sensei? Nobody. She can't escape those chains, not even the QB could, Sayuri said, not understanding what her husband meant. Sensei, I'm not surprised you didn't notice. I barely did either. Watch and you'll see, Kakashi said, making the other two turn to watch the fight. Back to the fight, what? No. You have nothing to say, Mito mocked, still receiving no response, and tightened her chains, hoping to. I got an answer, but instead, Sub-Zero shattered into ice. WH! Mito shouted, not understanding how she escaped her chains. I never expected that. You will inherit those chains, said Sub-Zero as he stepped out of the ice-covered tree. How the hell did you get there? Mito asked. And why would I tell you that now? She asked. Fine, I'll beat the answers out of you. Date Boalo. Declared Mito, let's see what. What do you do with this? Ice release, Black Dragon Jutsu. With her arm outstretched, a great dragon, Idol, launched herself against the surprised Mito. With no time to dodge, Mito infused the remaining chakra of the Kyuubi into her chains with the hope of destroying the jutsu, as both jutsu forced Mito back due to the force of the jutsu. After a brief struggle, the chains prevailed and the dragon broke. You destroyed it, congratulations, but what? What will you do with the others? What others? Mito asked, panting. Breathing techniques, ice release, twin black dragons jutsu. With both arms outstretched, two large black dragons lunged at the exhausted Mito, unable to dodge the attack. Mito. She closed her eyes and braced herself for the pain, but none came. When she opened them, she saw Sub-Zero standing before her, holding the two dragons by the head, preventing them from reaching her. Are you all right? Too weak to speak? He nodded weakly. Well, now I hope this settles the little dispute again. He nodded, clenching his hands, causing the two dragons to shatter. Sub-Zero. He starts walking towards Tazuna's house, leaving behind two surprised genin, an exhausted myth, and a Kakashi. He was worried. To be able to defeat an enraged Jinchuriki so easily, that man is very dangerous. Kakashi thought before lifting Mito up, but he noticed something on her shirt. Looking more closely, he saw a very intricate seal that makes his eyes widen in surprise. Recalling Sub-Zero's words, he might end up this fight right now, but where's the fun? Show me what you can do, daughter of the Yellow Flash. Very. It's truly dangerous to be able to defeat an enraged Jinchuriki so easily. That man is very dangerous, he thought. Kakashi before lifting Mito up, but he notices something on her shirt. Looking more closely, he sees a very intricate seal that it makes my eyes widen in shock. Remembering Sub-Zero's words, I could end this fight right now, but where's the fun? Show me what you can do, daughter of the Yellow Flash. Very dangerous indeed. The end of the week. The long week finally came to an end and Kakashi and Sub-Zero were ready to praise Kami for that. Since the fight with Sub-Zero's Team 7, Kiba had been taking training more seriously. Sayuri. He trained more and with greater intensity. The strangest change was Mito. He behaved with his usual impetuosity. But when Sub-Zero was near, she became quieter and moved away from him. Now, on the last day of the week, the bridge was almost finished and Sub-Zero couldn't be happier, since only he wanted to finish this mission. Protecting Tazuna as always was Sub-Zero, who was beginning to. I'm completely bored with this mission. May should just give me a bonus for all I've had to go through to get Zabuza. Sub-Zero thought as he lay on the bridge watching the world go by. The clouds. What seemed like days later, the men stopped working, so he returned with Tazuna too. He went home for dinner, mentally hoping nothing strange would happen during the meal. Poor idiot. What? Ha! Tazuna's house. Tsunami was happily cooking in the kitchen. While their guests waited for Tazuna and Sub-Zero to return for dinner, the 7 of them followed the fighting team. They had both developed a respect for running, each in their own way. Kiba respected his strength, Sayuri did too. I respected her strength and her cool attitude. I needed at least a pun about ice. Myth, on the other hand. She respected his compassion, for he had willingly saved her even when she insulted him. For her, this made him someone respectable. Even Kakashi gained a newfound respect for bounty hunters thanks to their skill in almost every aspect of ninjas. He hasn't seen all their abilities, nor has he read the bingo book, so, who? Do you think he would win in a fight? Kakashi-sensei and Sub-Zero asked Kiba, making that the girls growled. That's the 6th time you've asked us that since the fight with Kiba, and we told you we don't know. Mito shouted, TCH, I bet you believe your boyfriend would win. She said she was going, making Mito blush. He's not my boyfriend, Mito shouted, blushing intensely. You like him so much I saw the looks you were giving him after he saved your ass, Kiba accused. I have to admit it. Mito, you've been acting strangely around him lately, Sayuri said. I don't like it. That ice bastard, Mito shouted. I wouldn't call him a bastard if I were you, the voice said. Oh yeah, and what are you going to? What to do about it? Mito said, turning to meet the voice, only to pale as she looked into the icy eyes of Sub-Zero. I will impale you with an ice spear, Sub-Zero warned before sitting down at the table, leaving a myth. Pale and embarrassed, Sub-Zero sat in silence and decided to ask Kakashi a few questions. So, Kakashi, what have you been teaching your genin this past week? The Ronin asked. Kakashi looked up from his book and looked at Sub-Zero. This and that are nothing special, he replied, making Sub-Zero smile. Don't tell me. Your team's skills in case I decide to become very intelligent, Kakashi. But like children with a new toy, the three genin couldn't wait to show off. We learned a lot. I learned a pair of earth jutsu combined with tree walking, Kiba shouted, causing Kakashi to clutch his palm. Mentally, since his plan was ruined. I learned a fire and lightning jutsu along with the exercise of walk on the tree, Sayuri said. I learned a wind and water jutsu along with the tree walking exercise, Mito said, not wanting to be left out. Impressive, congratulations to the three of them, especially you, Sayuri. Fire and light are two of the most difficult elements to learn, Sub-Zero praised. Sayuri blushed and Mito. He frowned. Before they could say anything, Tsunami entered the room with dinner, and Inari, who? He was frowning as always. Sorry for the wait, everyone. Food was on the table, Tsunami and everyone else tucked into the simple, yet delicious meal. Why? She whispered. Inari, hey, why? What, child? Why are you all upset? Everyone's going to die, he shouted. Inari, surprising everyone with her outburst. Inari, don't say such things. Tsunami shouted, why not? It's true, nobody can stand up to Gato and his army, Inari said, angering Team 7. I'm not going to lose to a guy. He's hiding behind a group of thugs. Kiba shouted. Yes, my ka-chan me. I'd kick ass if I lost to some wannabe gangster, you know? Mito exclaimed. They'll all die there. Too strong for them to defeat. Inari shouted, making Sub-Zero sigh. Inari, I promise you. Gato will die, Sub-Zero said, causing Inari to look at him with tears in his eyes. But they're too strong. I am quite strong, Inari. Inari shouted. Remember that I saved you in my mother did all those years ago, so trust me, this country will be saved. And with these last words, Inari left. She let her tears escape and hugged her mother, who smiled at her son in gratitude. The rest of the meal passed in comfortable silence. Midnight, while everyone was asleep in their beds, Sub-Zero was lying on the sofa thinking about the events that were likely to happen. Morning, suddenly, the sound of creaking floorboards caught his attention. Turning toward the noise, he saw a sight that left Baki speechless and almost made him faint from blood loss. There was Tsunami with a sheer red baby doll with matching panties showing off her beautiful body. So, Sub-Zero, what can I call you? Naruto now? Tsunami asked with a wink that made him nod foolishly, making her laugh. Then, Naruto-kun, do you like what you see? She asked while posing. Yes, very much. Getting another giggle from her, walking with a sway. Tsunami circled. He wrapped his arms around her neck. Okay, think of this as extra motivation for tomorrow. And with that, he kissed Tony. Toroning with passion and lust, just as Naruto was about to return the kiss, Tsunami pulled away. With glazed eyes and a mischievous smile, it's just a taste, so make sure you win, turning around. Tsunami swayed back up the stairs, making sure Naruto was watching her. Well, now I have a serious case of blue balls, Naruto whispered as he lay back and fell asleep dreaming of his reward. The next morning, after an awkward breakfast, thanks to the glances, Tsunami was giving Naruto something that everyone else overlooked, including Team 7, Tazuna, and Sub-Zero. They headed towards the bridge. Okay, the bridge is almost finished. All we need to do is verify that everything is secure, Tazuna ordered, receiving nods of approval from his workers. After 2 hours of work, the builders considered the bridge. It was insured, so they went home for lunch. As all the workers left, a fog rolled in. Unnatural on the bridge. Well, your bridge is so bad it won't matter, said a voice they all recognized. Come out, Zabuza, you know this fog won't. It'll work, so let's hurry, since I still have to drag your pitiful ass back to Curie. Sub-Zero said, good point, I want to collect my money for the old man's head quickly, Zabuza said as the fog cleared, revealing him and the fake ninja hunter. Aku, kill the 3 genin, I'll take care of the copycat and the snow cone, Zabuza ordered. Of course, Zabuza-sama, he said. Aku, before disappearing, said, say goodbye to your students, Kakashi. He mocked. Zabuza, I trust my students are stronger than the last time we met, you may have trained them. For a week, but Aku is strong, even stronger than me. Zabuza said, worrying Kakashi. I need to finish this. With this, quickly, fortunately, Sub-Zero is here to help, Kakashi thought as he glanced at Sub-Zero. Anyway, Zabuza, let's finish this, said Naruto, covering his fists in ice. How impatient you are. Zabuza said, drawing his sword from his back. We have to hurry, Sub-Zero, the others might be in danger. Kakashi said as he lifted his headband, revealing his Sharingan. Ice release, Dragon Jutsu. Black twins thrust both arms forward. 2 black dragons shot out from their arms and they collided, creating an icy tornado that struck Zabuza. Water release, water wall, Jutsu screamed. Zabuza, while creating a large wall of water between himself and the tornado, was left with his eyes wide open. When the wall froze and shattered, leaving him at the mercy of the tornado, before Zabuza was swept away. It disappeared in a cloud of smoke, leaving a log to freeze and be crushed. I have to say I didn't expect Aku to know any ice jutsu that were so destructive, Zabuza said as he performed hand seals. Water release. Water dragon jutsu. He shouted. Zabuza summoned a huge water dragon from the water and charged at Subaru, who smiled with sufficiency. Fool, didn't you learn anything a minute ago? Technique link and explosion. Ice. Shouted Sub-Zero as he sent a ball of ice toward the dragon, freezing it on contact. What? Damn it! Zabuza exclaimed, surprised that a small ball of ice could freeze him. His powerful dragon so easily. Water jutsu are useless against me, Zabuza, you'd better think about something quick, or it could be your head you get, tch if the swords don't. They work, I'll kill you the old-fashioned way. Zabuza said as he drew his sword from his back and pointed it at Sub-Zero. Cutting you in two, Zabuza declared. You forgot one thing, Zabuza. Sub-Zero said. And what's that? I said. Now guys, summon release. From the technical land of tracking fangs, Kakashi shouted as 8 dogs of varying sizes emerged from the ground and bit different areas of Zabuza, 2 on each leg, 1 on each hand, another on his shoulder, 1 biting. The cue bait, it's over, Zabuza, said Kakashi, looking at the trap. Zabuza, applause, applause. Applause, it seems the fog demon was nothing more than a baby demon, said a short man with glasses surrounded by of an army of bandits. Tch cat, what are you doing here? Zabuza asked from. Do you really need to ask? I'm here to see how these guys do what you couldn't, kill the builder of the bridge and destroy this one, the bastard cat sneered. When I get out of here, I'll cut off your head and shove it up your ass. Zabuza shouted, making Gato laugh. Ha, you can try, I have an army, and there are 3 of you, Cat sneered, let them be. 7 dwarfs, Kia shouted as he, Mito, Sayuri, and Aku had minor injuries apart from Mito, since those of they had healed. 37, what's the difference when your enemy is an army? The cat shouted, now kill that one. Old man, earn your wages. The cat yelled. Kill the old man. Catch that bastard. Kill them all, Mito, Kiba, Sayuri, stay behind us and kill only those who are targeted. Cross over, that's an order, Kakashi ordered, receiving nods of agreement from the genin. Don't worry, Kakashi, I'll take care of it, said Sub-Zero as he calmly walked towards the army he was carrying. Hey, don't be an idiot, get back in formation, Kiba exclaimed, but it was ignored. Hey look, this guy wants to be a hero, shouted a bearded bandit. Let's show him what happens to heroes. Another shouted, I'm going to. I'll show you one of my most powerful techniques, so watch Linny's secret technique closely, wandering through the power mode, Sub-Zero said, barely a whisper, as he placed both hands on the ground. Unleashed ice that froze the ground the army was running on, making them stop in fear, but just for laughs. Haha, that was your ultimate technique, laughed a bandit. Haha, that was a what is Isteriskoa? Shouted the bandit as Sub-Zero appeared behind him with a sword made of ice protruding from his stomach, surprising everyone. They have 1 minute left to live. I suggest they use this time to urinate, and then pray to their insignificant, unclear god, said Sub-Zero as his body sank into the ice. The next minute was nothing short of a massacre. Limbs were lost, blood was spilled, and lives were taken, and after just 1 minute, the army of the 300, there were nothing but corpses. What the hell are you? The cat shouted. Terrified, he stared at Sub-Zero, covered in blood, standing amidst his fallen army. "I am your executioner," Sub-Zero said, appearing a few meters in front of him. "Ice explosion!" he shouted. Sub-Zero throwing an ice ball at Cat's chest, freezing and shattering him, letting everyone see his spine and organs perfect. "I love this finish," walking towards the die, Sub-Zero Cat. He grabbed his spine with both hands and used incredible strength, splitting the dwarf in two, shocking the Team 7 and the brutality of death, making Zabuza smile with pride, throwing the two halves of the cat on the Sub-Zero bridge walks towards the ninjas, noticing that the genin look pale. "Well, that's where the tyranny of a cat," said Sub-Zero. "Kid, you're really starting to remind me of my younger self. That was one of the most brutal deaths I've ever seen. You'd fit right in with the 7 swordsmen." Zabuza praised Sub-Zero. "May I ask what technique that was? Did it remind me of my reflected demonic ice crystals?" asked Aku, who had removed his mask, showing everyone her beautiful face. "I haven't seen your jutsu, but mine uses ice to cover the floor or walls to appear instantly in the ice area I create," Sub-Zero responded, giving a brief explanation. "That's great!" he shouted. Kiba with stars in his eyes. "I admit it's a very dangerous technique. Where did you learn it?" Kakashi asked, quite surprised that a jutsu like his sensei's existed. "Oh, I invented it," Sub-Zero said as if it were nothing special, but it surprised the others that someone so young. How could he invent such a powerful jutsu? Kiba said, and Akamaru barked in response. "Agreed, I wouldn't say I'm a genius, but I'm quite intelligent, of all." "Okay, let's go back and tell everyone the news." After receiving nods of agreement, "Okay," the ninja headed towards Tazuna's house to tell him the good news. Later that night, after news of Gato's death spread, everyone gathered at the town square and celebrated with a big party. Kiba was trying to flirt with a group of girls from the town, Mito and Sayuri. Aku was trying to ignore all the boys who were trying to ask them to dance. Kakashi, as always, was reading his book and laughing. Zabuza participated in a drinking contest. Only 2 people didn't. They were found. One was Tsunami, Tazuna's daughter, and the other was Sub-Zero, Naminokuni's savior. At Tazuna's house. "Are you sure about this, Tsunami?" Naruto asked between kisses. "Yes, I'm sure, so no. Let's waste no more time. Insert lemon here. Sorry, I can't type lemons. If anyone who wants to write one, let them." The next morning, after a night of partying and other things, the ninja was on the bridge ready to leave, but was stopped by Tazuna. "Because I wanted to make an announcement, in honor of our savior. I believe we should name the bridge he helped defend." In his honor, Tazuna received shouts of approval and continued, "Well, since there's no objection, I'll call this bridge the Great Bridge!" Lin shouted. "Tazuna!" causing the people of Wave to shout with joy. "Thank you, Tazuna," Sub-Zero said with a bow. "Just to be fired by Tazuna, we're the ones who we should thank you," Tazuna replied. "Anyway, I need move. I'm already a week behind thanks to this idiot," Sub-Zero said, pointing at the annoying Zabuza. As Sub-Zero turned to leave, he was stopped by Tsunami, who pulled down his mask and gave him a passionate kiss. Be careful not to hide his face. This provoked many reactions from the group, a chuckle from Kakashi, a thumbs up. Above Kibai, curiously, 2 frowns from Mito and Sayuri, but the worst reaction was Tazuna's. He knew that. "You corrupted my daughter, you bastard!" Tazuna yelled, only to be hit on the head with the frying pan. "Shut up!" Tone, Tsunami warned that he was still holding the frying pan, but stopped when Inari. He approached. "Akachan, does that make Sub-Zero my new too?" he asked. Inari, making her and Sub-Zero blush. "That's complicated, Inari. We'll talk about that later, okay, honey?" Tsunami said, trying to control her blush, receiving a. With his son's nod, he turned to Sub-Zero, who was equally red-faced. "And Sub-Zero-kun, please try. Visit us, I still need to repay you," he said with a wink. Nodding, he, Zabuza, and Aku headed off towards Kiri, while the Leaf Ninja head towards Konoha. Last moment, as they turned to leave, Sub-Zero was pulled aside by Tsunami, who lowered his mask and gave him a passionate kiss, careful to hide the. This provoked many reactions from the group, a chuckle from Kakashi, a thumbs up from Kibai. Interestingly, Mito and Sayuri both frowned, but Tazuna's reaction was the worst. "He knew you had. You corrupted my daughter, you bastard!" Tazuna yelled, only to be hit on the head with the frying pan. "Shut up, Tone!" Tsunami warned that she was still holding the frying pan, but stopped when Inari approached. "Akachan, does that make Sub-Zero in my new Tansan?" Inari asked, making both her and Sub-Zero blush. "That's complicated, Inari. We'll talk about that later, okay, honey?" Tsunami said, trying to control her blush, receiving a. With his son's nod, he turned and went back to Sub-Zero, equally red-faced, and Sub-Zero-kun, "Please try. Visit us, I still need to repay you," he said with a wink, nodding. He, Zabuza, and Aku headed off towards Kiri, while the Leaf Ninja head towards Konoha, now, having left the land of Sub-Zero waves. Zabuza and Aku set sail on a ship that Naruto had used to travel there, as the three of them sailed toward Kiri. Sub-Zero sat on the deck awaiting her arrival until a female voice called him, a Sub-Zero-san. "Can I talk to you?" Aku asked. "What is it you need to discuss?" "Well, I wanted to know how you can control ice. Are you part of the Yuki clan?" Aku asked hopefully. "I'm afraid I'm not part of the Yuki clan," Sub-Zero replied, destroying the. Aku's hope of finding someone from his family faded. "Oh," Aku murmured, looking at the ground, and the hope disappeared. But Aku's head lifted. "My clan is the origin of your clan, so in a sense we are family, although very distant," Sub-Zero ended. Not a second later, Aku. She rushed towards Sub-Zero with tears of joy in her eyes. After letting her cry for a minute, Sub-Zero stepped back and looked at. Aku's eyes were red and swollen. "Why are you crying, Aku?" Sub-Zero asked. "I'm so happy to finally have a family," Aku said, unaware that Zabuza was watching them both. "Of course you have family, Aku." Seeing Aku's confused expression, she continued. "You have Zabuza, but I'm just the Zabuza-sama's tool," Aku said, a pained expression appearing on his face. "No, Aku, you're not," Zabuza said, appearing. "At first, I wanted to use you to help me defeat Yagura, but without realizing it I began to see you as the daughter I never had, but I had a reputation to uphold, so. Which she couldn't prove. Now that we're going back to Kiri, I hope we can start over, if not, oh dear," she cried. Zabuza, as Aku lunged at him, embraced him with all his might. Seeing that he no longer needed it, Sub-Zero went to sleep. Kiri, sitting behind the. At the Mizukagi's desk sat the newly appointed Mizukaji Mirami. She was a tall, slender woman with green eyes and reddish-brown hair down to her ankles, styled in a fishtail braid at the back, with a bun tied with a dark blue band and 4 bangs in the front. 2 bangs are short, 1 covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing over her bust, just below her chin. She is wearing a dress. A dark blue tunic that reaches just below her knees. Underneath, she wears chainmail armor and a white belt. High-heeled sandals and shin guards that go above her knees. "Stupid paperwork is the bane of every cashier," B complained while working through a huge pile of paperwork. "And when will Sub-Zero-kun return with that Sabwabaka?" Mei said, making her bodyguard saw snort. "I bet he won't find Zabuza and will leave with the first half of the money. That man is a Miyama mercenary, and shouldn't be. Trust him. I know I'll never trust that man," said Ao, who didn't trust the masked mercenary since all the mercenaries cared about money and would do anything to get it. "I won't find a man. Never." Mei repeated to herself over and over. "A Miyama, is she telling me this? Are you listening?" Ao asked. "Ao, shut up or I'll kill you," Mei said with a smile. Startling Ao. "What did I say?" Ao thought, ignoring his frightened bodyguard. Mei went back to doing the paperwork, but was soon interrupted by a knock at the door. "Come in," said Mei happily. Distracted by her paperwork, when the door opened, Mei's secretary entered with a slightly. Fear was written all over her face. "Yukijizuma has 3 guests, one is Zabuchi and the other one is Sub-Zero," the secretary said, making Mei's smile light up. "Show us in," she said. Mei, her voice filled with joy. "Of course, Mizukaji-sama," the secretary said with a bow before. She left the room to look for them. As soon as the secretary left, Mado got up from her seat and looked at her reflection in. She opened the window and began reapplying her makeup, confusing Ao. "Mima, what are you doing?" Ao asked, making sure I looked good for Sub-Zero. "What else?" he replied as if it were obvious, making Ao sweat. "For. Of course, I should have known," Ao said, after making sure he was looking presentable. Mei sat back down and waited for them to arrive. Less than a minute later there was a knock at the door. "Come in," he said seductively, making Ao sweat again. As the door opened, Mei and Ao. They came across an image of Zabu Momochi being scolded by a teenage girl, with Sub-Zero laughing among themselves. "Teeth, mission accomplished, Mukage-sama," said Sub-Zero professionally. "There's no need for formalities. Sub-Zero-kun, Mei and Mei-chan are fine," said Mei, receiving a drop of sweat from Ao Zabuza, a withering glare from Aku, and a smile from Sub-Zero. "Very well, Mei-chan," said Sub-Zero, receiving a smile from Mei and a frown from Aku. "Oh, and take off that mask, you look much better without it," Mei said, but pouted when he shook his head. "Please, Sub-Zero-kun, I want to see your beautiful face," Mei said. "I never knew." "I know Mei-chan might be ugly." Sub-Zero pouted. "Please, Sub-Zero-kun, I want to see it." Looking at Akumi, she sees hope in her eyes and smiles. "And I'm sure I'm not the only one," Mei said, doing the same. Sigh. "No, it's not going to happen," Sub-Zero said, making Mika pout. "Now, Mei-chan, I need to go." "Since Inoki wants to see me, I can accept my payment," Sub-Zero asked, making me give him a sly look. "Face, I'll only pay you if you show me your face," Mei said with a. "No, that's not going to happen, Mei-chan, so please just pay me," Sub-Zero said, causing Mei's eyes to begin filling with tears. Sigh, what if I tell you something only 7 people know? Sub-Zero offered, making Mei's eyes light up. And what would that be?" "That?" Mei asked, walking towards her. Her son leaned over the desk and he whispered in her ear, "My real name," making Mai jog in surprise and nod her head. Sub-Zero whispered it to her, making her smile. "So I finally know my future husband's name, this is great." Mei thought as Sub-Zero backed away. "Now make sure you keep it a secret. Or forget about me ever working with you or Kiri again," Sub-Zero warned, making her nod. "Don't worry, Sub-Zero-kun, I'll keep it a secret. As for your payment, it will be transferred to your account in the next few days," Mei said. Receiving a gesture of thanks from the mercenary. "Thank you, Mei-chan, send me a message if you need my services again. For now, I need to see old Akiro-chan. He'll be angry if I'm late again," he said. Sub-Zero shivered as he remembered the last time he was late for a job for the old man. He didn't notice the grimaces of Mayako mentions Kuro-chan. This Kuro-chan won't be Kuratsuchi, the granddaughter from Inoki, right? Mei asked, annoyed that another woman had caught Sub-Zero's attention. "Yes, that's Kuro-chan, it makes me call her that for some reason," said an unconscious Sub-Zero, making everyone sweat a drop, and they'd think the same. It can't be that dense, can it? Cough. Anyway, good luck with your travels and be sure to stop by here from time to time. I love your company," he said with a wink that brought a slight blush to Subaru's face, but no one could see it, for "Of course, Mei-chan, now I really must go, so see you later." Zabuza Akin having said his farewell, Sub-Zero disappears in a cyclone of snow and ice. "TCH presumes?" Zabuza muttered before feeling a chill run through him. "Your spine will spin, and look at me and give you a sickly sweet smile. Now, Zabuza, you cow, are you going to explain why you chose to flee instead of aiding the rebellion?" Mei said, and his smile never wavered. That was all he said. The man, before jumping out the window with Mei, chased him and spitting lava balls at him. "There's no point in running, Zabwabaka. I'm going to catch you and melt your balls," Mei shouted. A moment of silence for that poor wretch with Naruto, appearing outside of Kiri. Naruto bites his thumb, drawing a little blood, and then performs a quick sequence of hand signals before he shouted, "Kukyo's Enojutsu," creating a large column of smoke. As it dissipated, a western dragon appeared, about the size of from a 2-story house with light blue scales and bright yellow eyes. "Oh, Sub-Zero, why did you summon me?" asked the powerful beast. "I'm sorry, Winterfawn, I need you to take me to Ai soon. Kuro-chan will kill me," said Sub-Zero, making the dragon laugh. "Haha, you've already been whipped, mate." Winterfan laughed. "Hey, I haven't been whipped, and she's not my partner, stupid reptile," exclaimed Sub-Zero. "Whatever you say, Snowball. Keep going, I'll have training with Pat soon." Getting on the Winterfang's back, the Hard took off into the sky in the direction of IWA gates. Sitting at the gate, there were the eternal guardians of IWA, Kuroda and Koizumi, two chunin who were tricked into becoming guards, the two of them, sitting at their posts, were playing cards. He's crying for her, he said. Koizumi, who had a full house, Koizumi, we're playing Rumi, he said. Kuroda, a bead of sweat forming on his brow, said, I knew he was just testing you, that's all. Anyway, let's play again, Koizumi exclaimed with a smile that made his friend put his hand to his face. Wait, do you hear that? Kuroda asked. No, all I hear is the wind and a strong flapping, Koizumi responded, only to receive a blow to the back of the head from A. Kuroda was angry. That's what I was talking about, he shouted. Oh, it was my mistake, he apologized. Koizumi, anyway, let's see what it is. With that, the two of them left to find the cause of the strange sound. Looking up at the sky, seeing nothing, they were about to turn back when Koizumi saw a small black dot in the sky was heading towards them. Hey Kuro, what do you think that is? Koizumi asked. I suppose that's the cause of that noise. Prepare yourselves in case we have to fight. The two drew a kunai in each. One of them hid behind them. As the point drew nearer, their eyes widened in astonishment. In the distance, a dragon Western aircraft was flying toward them at incredible speed. Not knowing what to do in this situation, they maintained their composure. They stood guard and waited for the dragon to approach. As the beast drew ever closer, they could see more details of the beast, such as its light blue scales and slanted yellow eyes, but the strangest thing, it looked like a man riding on his back. Hey, do you see this too? Right, Kuroda murmured. Of course I see it, it's very difficult to miss. It's not the dragon, it's the guy riding it, exclaimed Koizumi. It's not the dragon, it's the guy riding it, shouted Kuroda. Koizumi squinted, trying to get a better look until he saw him. There's a guy in that thing, I just... Say that, you idiot, Kuroda exclaimed as he hit Koizumi on the head. Hey, stop arguing, shouted a voice they both recognized. Turning toward the voice, they saw Sub-Zero standing next to the dragon. Was that you, Sub-Zero? Where did you get the dragon? He asked. Koizumi, summoning contract. Thank you, Winterfan, can you leave now? Sub-Zero said. Whatever, Snowball, tell your friend to put a stronger leash on you, Winterfan joked, making the two guards laugh and angering Sub-Zero. Ha ha ha, I bet he's talking about Kuratsuchi, they said. The two of them together, ha! The dragon laughed before disappearing into a cloud of smoke, dodging an ice spear. TCH, stupid reptile, Sub-Zero muttered before walking towards the village, leaving the gate guards laughing at his expense. Ha ha! Want to bet that he and Kuratsuchi will end up together? Koizumi asked, receiving a snort from Kuroda. Bet is for fools, Tsuchikage Noki's office, that Tsuchikage-san dame. Noki is a very short, old man with a triangular beard and a mustache with angular corners, and a large red nose and thick eyebrows. The top of his head is completely bald, although he has long, white hair on the lower half of his head, styled in a Kamage haircut. Traditional, the back of which is tied with a yellow ribbon in a bow. Loki wears a green coat and yellow with a red collar. Underneath, she wears the traditional Aigakure attire, which is a light green version from the bulletproof vest and chainmail armor of Iwagakure. However, he has both sleeves of his shirt rolled up, but he kept the single flap on her right side. Along with this, she wears sandals. At that moment, Anoki rubbed his temple, trying to soothe the headache the building was causing him. The cause of this headache was his granddaughter Kuratsuchi. Kuratsuchi had short black hair and pink eyes without. Her pupils were accentuated by her eyelashes that curled upwards at the corners of her mouth. She wore standard attire of the yunin, which consisted of a red uniform without the right sleeve and a flap over the right leg. She wore a brown Iwagakure bulletproof vest, fishnet stockings, and a skirt over them. She also wore shinobi sandals and a pair of gloves. I can't believe I'm late, Kuratsuchi shouted furiously and frustrated, as she stormed angrily through her grandfather's office. Not knowing how to calm his granddaughter, Anoki prayed for something was about to happen. As if the kami had heard their prayers, a whirlwind of ice and snow appeared, revealing the old Sub-Zero. Sub-Zero greeted him, making a mark appear on his forehead, Anoki's forehead, but it quickly disappeared and was replaced by a sinister smile, something that frightened Sub-Zero. Naruken, what did I tell you about being late? Naruto stared wide-eyed and turned pale when he heard that. He turned around and saw Kuratsuchi with his arm encased in rock, steam rising from it, which meant that he, combined with his lava release. Hey, Kuro-chan, sorry I'm late, but Zabuza couldn't complete his mission, so I had to stay on the wave until it was over, and then Mi-chan wouldn't let me go until she saw my face. Naruto said, quickly covering his masked mouth as he realized what he had just said. So he? You show your face to that shameless Mei, but not to me. Kuratsuchi exclaimed furiously, trying to hit him with her. His arm was covered in rock and lava. Stop so I can hit you, he yelled, swinging his rock and lava arm. Stop, Kuro-chan, I've never shown him my face, so please stop, she pleaded. Naruto, who was hiding behind a nervous Inoki, after releasing his jutsu, Kuratsuchi. She approached him and grabbed him by the collar. Well, and since you're late, you have to ask me out, she said. Kuratsuchi, with a cloying smile, nodded. Good, and make sure it's a good one. Place, he said before letting go and looking at his grandfather. Now that you two have finished flirting, it's time to. Let's talk business, Naruto. I have a mission for you, but it's one that even you won't accept, Inoki said with a serious look. I'm sure I can accomplish the mission, old man, so what is this? Another S-rank suicide, or am I saving a country again? No, none of that, I want you to come with me to Konoha. For the Chunin exams, Inoki said, making Kuratsuchi shout in protest. I refuse to let them go back there. Kuratsuchi, be reasonable, you know I wouldn't be asking you this if I weren't. Would it be important? Inoki said, trying to reason with her. No, it's not going to happen, no. I'll let it go, she said decisively, making Inoki sigh, knowing she was just as stubborn as he was. I'll do it, Naruto said after thinking about it, surprising them both. Really? What? They both shouted in surprise, causing the Iceman to chuckle. I'll do it, he repeated. Excellent, I'll begin preparations immediately, said Inoki, who then began to think about who else would join him. I'd accompany you to the exams. Wait, old man, Naruto, are you sure you said you never wanted to come back? There? Kurodachi asked, making sure her friend and crush was safe. I'm sure, Kuro-chan, I don't hate Konoha, I just don't care about her or anyone there, Naruto replied, making her nod with a small smile, happy to have forgotten her old home. Well, now that it's decided, we have 1 week before the exams begin. The AI competition will be with Team 6. Composed of Kuratsuchi, Akatsuchi, and Yukari, the most powerful genin team, I, Naruto, and N will arrive after. A 1-month break between the second and third events with the other groups sounds good. Okay, now I need to find a hotel for a week, see you later, Naruto said, about to leave the office. Kuratsuchi shouted in protest. You're not staying in a hotel, you can stay with me, or rather, with us, Kuratsuchi said, blushing, hoping she hadn't noticed her mistake. Luckily for her, she hadn't. Are you sure that? I don't want to impose myself, he asked, making Inoki laugh. Alright, kid. We have plenty of space, Inoki said. Hopefully, with them under the same roof. He'll notice her feelings, Inoki thought, smiling inwardly at the thought of the two of them together. See, Naruto? Kun, you know it. I said, now come, I'll show you where you can settle in, and remember you owe me dinner, Kuratsuchi warned with a mocking look. Of course, Kuro-chan, it's a date, Naruto said with a smile in his eyes, which made her cheeks turn red with embarrassment, and caused a small laugh from Inoki, who noticed. It happened. Let her in, go unpack, she said as she walked away with a slight sway of her hips, following her so as not to. Annoyed, Inoki shouts at him. Naruto, just one more thing, what is that? Old man? He asked. What does it feel like to be whipped? Inoki said with a smile. Mockingly, which enraged Naruto. Why do people keep saying they don't whip me? Naruto exclaimed. Hurry up. Naruto, they heard Kuratsuchi shout from the hallway. I'm coming, Naruto replied, as she left the office, trying to ignore Inoki's whippings. Haha, not even. Even together, and she has it wrapped around her finger. Ah, to be young again, Inoki murmured before returning to his paperwork, AI streets, as the two walked towards the Tsuchikuji mansion. Naruto couldn't help but notice all the stares they were getting. Is this normal, Kuro-chan? He asked. For me? Yes, since I'm the granddaughter of a Kaji and I remember your fame, especially here after your last match with an Rasi, Kuratsuchi said. I forgot about that. How are those two? He asked. Quite well. After getting to know them, they started to open up more, and the AI people now hold them in high regard. He feels sorry for him, especially since everyone who mistreated him feels incredibly bad, Kuratsuchi said. I'm glad those two are happy. That's good. I'll have to go see them. While I'm here, maybe we'll have another training session, exclaimed a happy Naruto, making Kuratsuchi laugh. You're so excited, can you fight later? We're here, so go unpack and get ready for 8 p.m. he ordered. Kuratsuchi. Yes, ma'am, Naruto said with a nod before disappearing into the mansion. TCH, know-it-all. He muttered with a small smile. 8 p.m. Naruto was nervous, very nervous. He'd never been on a date before, and his first one was with the granddaughter of a caged animal, so if he was shitting, he knew it. Looking in the mirror, he had to admit he looked good. He was wearing a dark blue suit with a waistcoat and tie to match, worn over a white button-down shirt, along with black dress shoes, and, of course, his ever-present mask. Not bad, but I bet he wants. Take off my mask, Naruto thought to himself, waiting what seemed like an eternity. Have you ever waited? Why should a woman get ready? It's like watching paint dry, Naruto heard a familiar voice came from the stairs. Well, don't get all dolled up. Upon realizing the turning around, Naruto held his breath. There was Kuratsuchi in a red dress with a slit on the right side that she showed off her toned legs. Did you know that even with that annoying mask, flies could still get in if you keep the mouth open like that? Kuratsuchi joked, snapping Naruto out of his surprise. I'm sorry, Kuro-chan, it's just that you look amazing, he said honestly, making her blush. You too, Naruto-kun. Even with that stupid mask, Kuratsuchi said, muttering the last part. I like the mask, it adds a touch of mystery. Come on, I have a reservation at the Red Lily for 8:30, so, let's go. Naruto offered her his arm, which she gladly accepted, walking towards. The restaurant was in comfortable silence. They entered ignoring everyone's stares. They approached the maitre d', a friendly man with a neatly trimmed mustache. Table 4. I'm going up 2 steps down, Naruto said, making the man smile. Yes, we were expecting you. Please follow me, sir. Ma'am, said the man who led them to a private booth. Here we are. Please check the menu and I'll send a. He told the waitress to come and take his order when it was ready. With that, he walked away to attend to his other duties. Did anything catch your eye? Naruto asked, making Kuratsuchi look at him. Oh, 1 or 2 things, she replied. After ordering the food, they both started chatting for a while. So, Kuro-chan, you're finally happy to have become a chunin. Yes, that's great, he exclaimed. The only reason I'm still a genin is because the old man wanted to wait until the chunin exams so that we could demonstrate the power of IWA, Kuratsuchi said, not caring much about his rank. I thought it was something like that since he's doing the same thing this year, Naruto said, making her smile. Cool, that's great. That means there will be strong opponents, Kuratsuchi said, continuing with their meal. The two talked about what had done since the last time they saw each other. After finishing their meal, the two left the restaurant, and they returned to Inoki's mansion. After walking in comfortable silence, the two returned to the mansion and they went inside. Thank you for a wonderful night, Naruto-kun, Kuratsuchi said with a smile on her beautiful. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Kuro-chan, but I think it's time for us to go to sleep, she said. Naruto, who was about to go up the stairs until Kuratsuchi pulled his arm and turned him around, confusing him. Kuro-chan, what's wrong? Before he realized it, he had lowered his mask to her cheek and given her a light kiss before walking away. Thank you for dinner, Naruto, Kuratsuchi said before going upstairs and entering his room, leaving a surprised Naruto behind. Coming out of his daze, Naruto went upstairs and entered his temporary room and slept, knowing that he would have to prepare before his new mission. Late, thanks for one wonderful night, Naruto-kun, Kuratsuchi said with a smile on her beautiful face. I'm glad you were there. Enjoyed it, Kuro-chan, but I think it's time we went to sleep, said Naruto, who was about to go upstairs. Stairs until Kuratsuchi grabbed his arm and turned him around, confusing him. Kuro-chan, what's wrong? Before he realized it, she had pulled his mask down his cheek and given him a light kiss before. Thank you for dinner, Naruto, Kuratsuchi said before going upstairs and entering his room, leaving behind a surprised Naruto. coming out of his daze, Naruto. She went upstairs and into her temporary room and slept, knowing that she would have to prepare before her new mission. 1 week later, a week had passed since Naruto. He returned to Ai and distanced himself from Inoki's mission. He spent most of the week with Kuratsuchi, and Naruto was quite sad because that day she would be leaving for the Chunin exams with her team, made up of herself, Akatsuchi, and Yukari. His sensei was Rasi, the Four-Tails Jinchuriki, or as he liked to be called, Son Goku, knowing that he didn't. They would see each other for at least a week, and Naruto had to promise to help her train during the month off. Something he happily agreed to, but warned her that he couldn't teach her any jutsu, since their elements were their opposite poles. He was wind and water, and she was fire and earth. After putting their things away in scrolls in hand, Kuratsuchi and Naruto headed for the door. Upon arriving, they noticed everyone was there, except for Yukari. Akatsuchi approached and glared at Naruto with a withering look, something he was used to. "Hey, Grandpa-sensei, where's Yukari?" Kuratsuchi asked, making Rasi sigh in annoyance. Yukari was. He broke his arm after attempting a jutsu last night, Rashi said, annoyed since he had told him not to try that one. "Jutsu still, so we cancel?" he asked, his eyes. The pink eyes looked at their grandfather almost as a warning, "Unless we find someone your age and powerful. Then yes, I won't necessarily risk the lives of our genin," Inoki said, making. Kuratsuchi smiled smugly. "I know someone my age, incredibly strong, very loyal, for not." "Oh. And who is this person?" Inoki asked with a smile, seeing where she was going with this. "Granddaughter with this, why Sub-Zero?" "Of course," Kuratsuchi said as if he were the most obvious thing in the world. "What? Why me? Brah. Why him?" Sub-Zero shouted. And Akatsuchi in protest, "Well, it's strong for our age, know our battle formations." "I have to continue," Kuratsuchi said, glaring at Katsuchi, who was at point of arguing while pretending not to see her, protested, "She cannot appear at the exams, he's not an IWA ninja, and even if he were, he's stronger than a genie." He gritted his teeth, hating to admit that Sub-Zero was stronger than him. Thinking about what they had said, Inoki looked at Sub-Zero, who had remained silent. "What do you think, Gaki?" "Really? I don't care, but if I don't go, Kuro-chan won't be able to compete. But if I do go, I have to become a shinobi of AI, and that's something I really don't want to do without offending anyone," she said, ignoring the withering glare she received from Akatsuchi when he said Kuro-chan. "None, I know you like your style of. We live a nomadic life, and you don't need to be an AI ninja to compete with us. We can say we have an alliance with your clan, and that's true. Since this is a different mission, you'll receive the equivalent of an S-rank mission," Inoki said, receiving smiles from Naruto, Kuratsuchi, and Rashi, and a grimace from Akatsuchi, something everyone noticed. But they didn't comment. Following Inoki's lead, Team 6 and Sub-Zero departed for Konoha, perhaps. I should have told them about the Team Kumo sent. Nah, it'll be fun to watch. And with that, Inoki flew back to their office to make some preparations for later, Konoha. 1 day later, while the team. As he ran toward Konoha, Sub-Zero felt an energy he hadn't felt in years. It had been years since he'd been this strong. Near the Jinsei, it brings back memories, Sub-Zero thought as he continued running until an idea struck him. I should take him with me. If the fools in this town find him, there's no telling what they'd do to him. As they ran, Sub-Zero. She felt the same sensation she'd had throughout the entire trip. Turning her head slightly, she saw Katsuchi trying to put a hole in his head. "I've never understood why that guy hates me so much. He seemed cool. He was with me until he wanted to train, and then I kicked his ass." Mentally shrugging, he ignores the look and he continues running. Suddenly, a feeling of nostalgia washes over him as he sees the great gates of Konoha. Lowering his speeding to ensure they weren't seen as hostile, Team 6 is stopped by the gate guards. "Stop. Say what you want," said the guard with hair covering one eye, whom Naruto recognized as Izumo. Taking one step forward, Rossi was instantly recognized as the two guards tensed slightly. "My team and I. We're here for the exams. Tune in." "Alright, I just need to see your passes." Nodding to the guard, the four of them took out their passes. Everything was fine until he looked at Sub-Zero's pass. "You're not a shinobi from IWA, why are you here?" Izumo demanded as his fellow guard discreetly. He signals with his hand, warning the hidden Embya, he belongs to a clan allied with II. Since my team was missing a member, he was allowed to join by order of Tsuchikajisama, Rossure said, calming the situation. After checking the pass once more, Izumo returns it and allows them to enter the village along with some directions to reach Okaji Tower, sending another signal to the hidden Ambu to keep watch. Meanwhile, Team 6 walked through the village, attracting the attention of the civilians, as it was rare to see foreign ninjas. Inside, ignoring the stares they received, the team walked toward the Okaji Tower. After walking, they entered the tower and waited outside his office, as he was in a meeting. After a couple of minutes, some of the Honin emerged. Sub-Zero recognized them all, from Asuma and Sarutobi to Karina and Yui, even Gay, but the one who stood out the most was Kakashi Attack, who saw it. "It's good to see you again." The imitator greeted Sub-Zero with a smile in his eyes, which Kakashi returned, causing his colleagues to. Kakashi's eyes widened in shock. "Dear Kami, there are you too, Sub-Zero. May I ask why you're here, and with an AI team no less?" he asked, noticing that Sub-Zero didn't have an Itai yacht on board. "My clan is allied with AI, and since this team was missing a member, I agreed to fill the position," he replied with another smile. "Aren't you a bit much? Strong enough to be a genin?" asked Kakashi, whose hopes of his team winning the exams had been reduced to numbers. "Negative. Well, I don't have an actual rank, just the one in the bingo book, but that's just to show how dangerous it is." "That's me," said Sub-Zero, confusing Kakashi's colleagues. "I was Sub-Zero." "What do you mean by saying you're just a genin in the bingo book, right?" Karina asked slightly. She was worried because her team was taking the exam, well, in the bingo books. "I'm an A-rank mercenary running around, and since I don't belong to any hidden village, I don't have any ninja," he replied. They saw no problem in telling him. As it was common knowledge, all the jonin, except Kakashi, opened their eyes widened in surprise, for he was the same age as their genin, and already very strong. If that were true, why? "Are you here for the Chunin exams?" Alma asked, narrowing her eyes. Asterisk sighed. "If you had listened earlier, you would already know the answer," said Sub-Zero, making. Asuma rubbed his head shyly. Sorry, I was distracted," Asuma admitted, raising an eyebrow. Lifted from Sub-Zero levels. "Yes, I saw it. You were paying a lot of attention to Miss Yui's, but I think I even saw a little drool," Sub-Zero said, eliciting various reactions. He paled. Kakashi let out a small, perverted chuckle. Guy started shouting about youth and curing, and she turned red with anger and slapped the pale jonin, while Team 6 stood there silently laughing to themselves. After recovering, Guy glared at Sub-Zero with burning eyes. "Wow, my young friend, your youth shines brightly. You are so strong and young at the same time," Gay shouted, striking his pose. "Nice boy with bright teeth." However, Sub-Zero paid him no attention. "What did you say, Gay?" Sub-Zero asked, making Kakashi look at him with pride. Karina and Suma let it slip. A drop of sweat. "They're long-lost brothers." Guy, on the other hand, lowered his gaze, his hair brushing against his forehead. Covering her eyes, thinking her sensitivity was hurt, she was about to apologize until Guy raised a view with tears running down her face. Be your audacity, Sub-Zero. "You and Kakashi will experience the power of youth," he exclaimed, making everyone sweat. After receiving the approval of the secretary, Team 6 said goodbye to the Jonin and entered the Lokaji office. The location office entered the office. Sub-Zero was grateful to have his mask, otherwise everyone would see a giant smile on his face when he saw Minato Namikaze, who looked horrible. Her hair had lost its shine and was starting to turn gray. She had many frown lines and his eyes had enormous bags under them. Looking to the left, he saw that Kuratsuchi was fighting with two things. One was throwing a lava balloon at Minato, and the other was laughing hysterically at the sight of a man's wreckage. Even Rossi was trying to hide her smile. "Greetings, Okajizuma," she said. Rossi bowed, a gesture copied by the rest of Team 6. "Hello to you, Rosen. I assume you and your team. They're here for the Chunin exams?" Minato said, a smile leaping with joy inside. With these exams we can capture foreign ninjas without raising suspicion, but with Inoki's granddaughter here finally, we can obtain the lava release bloodline." He thought with a smile. Yes, this is Team 6, which consists of Kuratsuchi, Akatsuchi, and Sub-Zero. Rashi said, making Minato's eyes widen as he looked at Sub-Zero. So this is Sub-Zero, the one Kakashi also mentioned. It's a pleasure to meet you. I must thank you to help Team 7 on their final mission, Minato said with a smile, but then his eyes turned serious. But I was informed that you were a mercenary, not an IWA ninja. I'm not a Dua ninja, but my clan is allied with them, so I agreed to fill the missing space on my team, since the original member was injured. Sub-Zero replied, making Minato mentally flip over, an entire clan with his abilities. This is great. All I need to do is capture him and get him to tell me where his clan is based. I see, that's fine. I'm sorry to be a bad host, but I'm very busy with these tests, so please follow the Amber member, and she will show you where your hotel is, with a snap of the fingers, an Ambu wearing a cat mask appeared and bowed to Okaji, following the Ambu out of the. In the office, they didn't see Minato summon another Anbu. This one was wearing a mask with the streets of Konoha inscribed on it. Following a path across the rooftops, Sub-Zero spots a family-run food stall and decides to visit. Rossi, I'm going to explore. I'll see you all later, receiving a nod from Rossure and a worried look from Kuratsuchi. Sub-Zero heads towards the ramen stand, but before he gets there he hears screams, and after the screams he sees some very familiar people. Minutes earlier, Amito, Sayuri, and Kaiba had been. They had just announced they were going to register for the Chunin exams and were heading to Ichiraku to celebrate when Kiba saw a strange box is following them. Guys, why is a box following us? Just ignore it, it's just Konohamaru and his friends, Ito said with a small smile that quickly faded. Quickly, when the box explodes in smoke, cough cough dash, you used too much gunpowder. When the smoke it vanished, revealing 3 children, 2 boys and a girl, whatever the time. First of all, I'm Konohamaru's future Okaji, said the boy with glasses on his forehead. I'm Moegi, the most daring girl in the world, shouted the girl with pigtails. I'm Udon and I like mathematics, murmured the boy with glasses. And together we're the corporation with Amaru. They all shouted together in a strange posture, causing Team 7 to sweat a drop of sweat to come out of there. Wamaru's posture leads him to Mito, and he begins to jump up and down with excitement. What, boss? I did a jutsu, do you want to see it? He exclaimed, making the entire Team 7 curious. Sure, Koken. Show it to us. Nodding quickly, Konohamaru made a couple of hand gestures. Sexy jutsu! He shouted before being covered by a column of smoke. When the smoke cleared, there stood a beautiful, naked brunette. Hey boy! Big! The brunette said with a wink at Kiba. Not a second later, Kiba was thrown backward by a massive nosebleed. With another plume of smoke, the brunette turned to face Konohamaru, who was laughing. Ha ha ha, did you see that? Feeling a chill run down her spine, she turns to see Mito and Sayuri with a malevolent aura surrounded them, and they ran quickly. Konohamaru only turned the corner before colliding with. Hey kid, that hurts, said a teenager carrying a strange. He wore a full-body suit with ears on top of his head, but the strangest thing about him was his face paint. Dwelling, sorry, said Konohamaru, who was about to run away from Knew until the teenager grabbed him by the back of his neck by his shirt. What kind of apology was that, you stupid brat? Perhaps I should teach you some manners, Kankuro, because we don't have time for this, said a blonde teenager with her hair in 4 consecutive pigtails and a huge folded fan on her back. Shut up, Temari, this girl deserves it, Kankuro shouted, about to hit the poor girl. The girl was still until Mito and Sayuri arrived. Hey, put Koken down, you bastard! Mito yelled, making Kankuro smile. And? What are you going to do if I don't? Suddenly a whirlwind of sand appeared, revealing a small red-haired boy with the kanji for love tattooed on his forehead and a large gourd on his back. Kankuro, stop! He ordered. The boy was making Kankuro sweat. Okay, Gaara. Letting go of the boy, he ran. He quickly followed Mito and Sayuri and stuck his tongue out at Kankuro with Konohamaru. Except, Mito observes the group and sees that they all have been here a day longer than usual. I suppose they are here for exams. Chunin, present time, Gaara looks at the 2 kunoichi. Mother wants your blood. Confusing Mito and Sayuri. Their eyes widened when the sand shot out of their pumpkin and flew towards them. They didn't fast enough to dodge them. They closed their eyes, bracing for the pain. but out of nowhere they heard a familiar voice. Well, Gara-chan, you haven't changed a bit, have you? Gara opened. Her eyes widened in fear as the sand began to freeze rapidly. Looking around in fear, she saw Sub-Zero sitting on the ledge of a building. Why are you here? Go away. Stay away, mother is scared, Gara shouted, clutching his head in pain. Not that one. That's a very nice way to talk to a friend now. It's Gara, Sub-Zero said as he looked towards Kankuro and Temari, who had frozen with fear. Hello, you two, did you miss me? He asked, pulling them out of their shock. Why? What are you doing here? Temari stammered, fear in her eyes, making Sub-Zero smile. I'm here for the exams. Chunin, I'm on a team with Ai, so you'd better be careful, she said, making everyone open their eyes wide. Why are you taking the exams, Chunin, if you're an A-rank runner? Exclaimed a pale-faced man. Kankuro was afraid of having to fight the ice user. He owed Inoki a favor, and Kuro-chan asked him to join to his team, Sub-Zero said, missing Nito, and Sayuri's eyes narrowed as she said Kuro-chan. And who is Kuro-chan? Sayuri asked, her eyes slightly narrowed. Kuro-chan is Kuro Kayanoki's granddaughter. Sub-Zero answered without noticing. Her eyes and Mito's narrowed even more. Well, Gara, this is a warning. Behave yourself or I'll do what I did last time, warned Sub-Zero, causing Gara, Temari, and Kankuro to paled even more. Nodding, Team Suna went to their hotel to warn Baki, jumping off the roof. Sub-Zero looked at the ground and saw Konohamaru staring at him with glowing eyes. That's good, sir. How did you freeze his sand? Can you teach that? He asked quickly. I can freeze sand because of my lineage. And I'm sorry, Gaddy, I can't teach you. I only teach members of my clan and their future children, said Sub-Zero, receiving. The boy pouted in disappointment, making him laugh, and patted him on the head. Sub-Zero turned and began. He starts to walk away, but stops when he hears Mito shout. Hey, you can't leave! Turning around, he sees Mito and Sayuri trotted toward him, making him raise an eyebrow. Is there anything you need? You're absolutely right, you have to come with us, come on! Exclaimed Mito, but he covered his mouth while using his verbal tip, which caused a bead of sweat to escape Sub-Zero and Sayuri. Why? Why do I have to go with you? She asked. This time Sayuri spoke after. Upon returning from our mission, we told our Ka-chan about you, and they want to meet you. Sub-Zero, confused. He asked. Why do you want to see me? Not wanting to see his mother again, I don't know. After I told them what happened, they said they'd like to meet you. Mito said, thinking for a second. Sub-Zero. He nodded and followed them to the Yukiya compound. After walking for a while, they arrived at the compound. Sub-Zero noticed that he was almost. It was empty. There were only some children running around and some civilians walking. I didn't think that the massacre would weaken them so much. Walking further, they arrived at the clan chief's house. It was quite a house. Large with a traditional design. Walking inside, Mito shouts K-chant Makoto, we're back and we have a guest. A few seconds later, a voice was heard that Sub-Zero recognized as Kushina Uzumaki. We're here, Mito. Chan. Following the voice, they find Kusina and Makoto sitting in a room drinking tea while Sub-Zero. He looked at them. He had to say he was impressed that they were both around 40 and looked 25. Miyoto was a woman. Fair-skinned with long, straight black hair with bangs hanging on both sides of her face framing her black cheeks and eyes. He wore a Konoha Jonin uniform with a short-sleeved blue shirt and she wore trousers with her jacket open and a pair of black shinobi sandals. Looking at Kusina, she saw why she was known for her beauty. She had fair skin and bright violet eyes, her long red hair tied back in a ponytail. She wore a ponytail with two long bangs that framed her face, held in place by a blue cone-shaped headband. Backwards, she was also wearing a short-sleeved shirt and trousers, only hers were black and over them she wore Konoha's bulletproof jacket. Completing his outfit were a pair of blue shinobi sandals. Welcome from new Mito-chan. Sayuri-chan then looks towards Sub-Zero. Who are his friends? She asked, making everyone sweat. How forgetful Kusina was. I think this is Sub-Zero, the mercenary who helped our daughters during the wave, Makoto said, smiling at Sub-Zero. Good, it was my fault, he said shyly as he rubbed the back of his neck. Your daughters told me you wanted to see me. Why? She asked, narrowing her eyes. We wanted to. Thank you for helping our daughters, Makoto said, still smiling. That's not necessary, I was already doing it. For my own benefit. Now, if that's all, I'll leave. said Sub-Zero, who? He turned around and started walking towards the door until he heard Kusina shout. Wait, I need to ask you something. Some things? Sighing in annoyance, Sub-Zero turns away and crosses his arms. Why should I answer to your questions, Uzumaki-san? Because I say so, Date Bane. Kusina said, blushing slightly as he used his hated tick. It's not enough. Sub-Zero turned and he was about to walk out the door when a chain of chakra wrapped around his chest. You're responding to my questions? Kusina said, but she was surprised when Sub-Zero smiled smugly. No, I'm not, and said. This turned into ice, revealing that it was an ice clone. Everyone present was speechless. Knowing they were talking to a clone, it seems he escaped. Kusina, he said. Mikoto, who broke out in a cold sweat when she saw her friend run out the door screaming about having found the ice bastard, his bead of sweat grew as Mito chased after her mother, screaming about teach her a lesson. Mikoto looked at her daughter and saw that she had an irritated look on her face. Are we sure we chose to? Our friends, aren't they, Sayuri-chan? Yes, sometimes I wonder who's more crazy. They're crazy for all the things they do, or we are crazy for being their friends, said Sayuri, making her mother laugh. Come on, Sayuri-chan, we should probably go save your boyfriend, Mikoto said, making Sayuri blush. It's not my boyfriend, she shouted in denial, eliciting another giggle from Mikoto. Oh, fiancé. You're fast, aren't you, Sayuri-chan? Mikoto said before running forward, making Sayuri's face match Uzumaki's hair. Ka-chan! Shouted Sayuri as she ran, following his mother, streets of Konoha. As Sub-Zero walked back to his hotel, the familiar ramen stand. He attracted attention by feeling hungry. He approached and sat on a stool. He waited a minute and an old man came out. Welcome to Ichiraku Ramen, what would you like? The man asked with a smile, thinking for a second. I'll have 4 bowls of miso ramen, Sub-Zero said, laughing as the old man had signs of laughter in his eyes. Haha. Another ramen lover, I'll get right on it, said the old man, heading to the kitchen and starting to cook the order. While the old man was cooking, a voice came from the back of the stall. Tone, I'm back! A voice shouted when the back door opened, revealing a pretty brunette woman who was standing there. Good timing, you could give this to the man over there, said the old man, handing him a large bowl of ramen. Bringing the bowl closer, he saw the mask of Sub-Zero, wondered what he would look like without her. Here you are, sir, she said with a smile. Thank you, itadakimasu, he said. Sub-Zero, who noticed the woman looking at him as if she were expecting something, without seeing the problem of letting the girl. Mirara lowered her mask and began to eat. My God! Aim cried. Mentally, as he gazed at Sub-Zero's handsome face with hearts in his eyes, even his father was blushing. After finishing his meal, Sub-Zero pulled up his mask, much to Aim's disappointment, and went to his hotel to rest for the tomorrow's exams. After finishing his meal, Sub-Zero removed his mask. Much to Aim's disappointment, she went to her hotel to rest for tomorrow's exams. Upon arriving, Naruto found Kuratsuchi was asleep on the sofa. She must have waited for me. He picked her up like a princess, and she snuggled against his chest. Provoking a soft laugh, he took her to his room, laid her on the bed, tucked her in, and kissed her forehead. Good nights, Kuro-chan, Sub-Zero whispered before leaving the room. Go to yours and sleep, hoping something. I was excited for what would happen tomorrow. The next day, after waking up. After showering and changing, Naruto was greeted by an angry Kuratsuchi, standing in his room. Where you were? He demanded, his eyes filled with anger and worry. I ran into some old friends and had a pleasant chat. Then I was dragged to the Yukiya compound to talk to Mikoto and Kusina. He responded in a way that made her blush with anger. Did you really talk to that bitch? Why? She yelled, disgusted that Naruto was talking to those bastards. I told you and I that I don't hate anyone in Konoha except maybe Minato, and I wouldn't say they talked more like they were giving me the thank you. And then I'll leave, Naruto said, leaving Kusina outside and binding him with chakra chains. I still haven't. I like them, Kuratsuchi said, frowning, making him sigh. I know, but let's forget about them, okay? Yes, fine, but if they try anything, I'll melt them, she said with a mocking smile, as she left her room. Kuratsuchi found Katsuchi and Rossi having breakfast. The 4 ate quickly, and the team headed to the Rossi headed to the Hanan Hall at the academy. Upon arriving, they found a large hall filled with genin. Of all the elemental nations, they ignored them all, the team headed. He went to the stairs and saw a girl with pigtails and a minigun with 2 ninjas by the stairs. They watched without. Hurry, please, let us up, the girl begged, but her pleas fell on deaf ears, as one of the ninjas. He went to hit her only for Minigai to easily catch him. That was very unyouthful of you, said Minigato. On the back of her head by the girl with the hair clips. You idiot, was it your idea to hide our strength? Sorry, Tenten. He murmured, now name. It's okay, Lee too. You tried less to help than Niji, Tenten said, making Lyrando smile. Around her, they saw her. Niji, the third companion, walked towards them. And where have you been? He demanded. Tenten, crossing her arms and tapping her foot on the ground, was evaluating our competition, he replied, making me smile. Such a fantastic idea, my young companion, your youth shines brightly, Lu exclaimed, making Tenten sweat a little before looking at his other companion. Did you find someone worth caring about? He asked. It doesn't matter, we're destined to win, Meiji said, an aura of arrogance surrounding him, shaking his head at his arrogant teammate. Tenten glanced around the room again and saw a team of Iwan ninjas, but one. She stood out more. She had snow-white hair with blue and ice highlights. She wore a pair of combat boots, black steel-toed boots, black pants, and an ice blue belt with the liney symbol for the top. He wore a tight-fitting, sleeveless black shirt that showed off his defined muscles. Over this, he wore a short-sleeved, ice blue trench coat and, to complete his outfit, a blue mask, as Tenen stared intently at. The teenager felt a chill run down his spine, looking to the left of the haired teenager. She saw another teenager with black hair and pink eyes staring at her, ignoring the stare. Tenten and her teammates approached. Hi, I'm Tenten, and these are my teammates. Niji and Lu greeted her. Tenten with a smile. Hello, Tenten, I'm Sub-Zero and these are my teammates. Temporary team members, Karatsuchi Akatsuchi, Sub-Zero said, confusing temporary team 10. Why are you leaving? Tenten asked. I'm not an Ionin, my clan is allied with Ai, and this team needed a replacement, so Inoki. He called me, Sub-Zero said with a smile in his eyes. Now, I don't want to sound antisocial, but I think we should go to the exam area, he said as he and his team walked away. He seemed nice, Tenten said, receiving a. Le nodded. Yes, he looks very young, it doesn't matter, he's destined to lose, Niji said, teasing his teammates. Third floor, what? Was that it? Kuratsuchi exclaimed as they walked toward the end of the corridor. What was it? What? Sub-Zero asked. Confused. Are you talking to that girl? Kuratsuchi said jealously. His eyes, he was just being polite, Kuro-chan, nothing more. Well, keep it that way. Like this. Kuratsuchi ordered, his eyes narrowed, reaching the end of the corridor. The team opened the door and they were immediately greeted by a faint wave of K. I'll show you true intent, murderer, he said. Sub-Zero unleashing a quarter of his ki, causing some of the weaker genin to faint and the others. They paled. Weaklings. A voice said. You're still as cool as I ever made you, Kun. Naruto said, turning around. She paled. There stood a fair-skinned teenager. She had blue eyes and her straight, blonde hair framed her face, cut in a bob with bangs that reached her shoulders. She wore a very low-cut dress that revealed her ample cleavage with a chain mail armor underneath, and a skirt, short jacket, red hand protectors, and high boots with a white sash. Swallow. Hello. Samu-chan, you need to give some explanations. Ike, what was that? Kuratsuchi exclaimed as they walked toward the end of the corridor. What was it? What? Sub-Zero asked, confused. Are you talking to that girl? Kuratsuchi said, jealousy in her eyes only. Kuro-chan was being polite, that's all. Well, keep it up, he ordered. Kuratsuchi narrowed his eyes, reaching the end of the corridor. The team opened the door and went. Immediately met by a wave of K-Devil. I'll show you true killing intent, said Sub-Zero, unleashing a quarter of his ki, causing some of the weaker genin to faint and the others. They paled. Weaklings, a voice said. You're still as cool as I ever made you, Kun. Turning around, Naruto. She paled. There stood a fair-skinned teenager. She had blue eyes and her straight, blonde hair framed her face, cut in a symmetrical bob with bangs that reached her shoulders. She wore a very low-cut dress that revealed her ample cleavage, with chain mail armor underneath, and a skirt, Short jacket, red hand protectors, and high boots with a white sash. Swallow hello. Samu-chan, you have some explaining to do, Aiken. Kuratsuchi looked between Sub-Zero and the blonde with a frown before looking at Sub-Zero with narrowed eyes. Who the hell is that her? And why is she calling you Aiken? He demanded. Oh right, they don't know each other. Kuro-chan meets Samu-chan, Samu-chan meets Kuro-chan, Sub-Zero said, introducing the two kunoichi. And how do you know her? Kurosuchi asked. She's one of Killer Bee's students along with Omo and Karwi. So you met Mu-chan at my regular training with B. Speaking of them, where are they? I don't know them. I don't see anyone anywhere. Sub-Zero asked, looking around and not seeing anyone else from Kumo. Omoe let out the usual rant. This time it was about the fourth Okuji using the chunning to kidnap people from other places. Villages or something. It wasn't cool at all, so Karui punched him and made him bleed. So they went to heal him, Samu said in his usual calm tone. For some reason unknown to him, Sub-Zero had a bad feeling. Taking one last look around, Sub-Zero saw some familiar gening talking to a curious man with glasses approached and left the two girls talking about what? It's just that girls talk seriously. The girls I know talk about weird things. So, Kuro-chan, I suppose your name is Kuratsuchi, granddaughter of the current Sachikage? Samui asked, looking at him. Lost, that's right, why? Kuratsuchi said with a withering look. Nothing, Kuratsuchi-san, I just want to know more about my rival. Samu said, confusing Kuratsuchi. How the hell? Am I your rival if I just met you? Kuratsuchi demanded. I see the way you look at Aiken, but you won't want it because it's mine and it's not right to steal it, Samu said in his cold tone. Kuratsuchi was furious at how dare this silly blonde try to steal his man, thinking quickly. In something, Kuratsuchi smiles at the thought that comes to mind. He's not your man, he's mine. I bet you don't even know his real name or what he looks like, just like me, he boasted. Kuratsuchi, since I've never seen the faces of ISU users before, I know more than you think, Kuratsuchi-san. Samu said critically, about to continue when he saw his team enter. My team just. It was a pleasure meeting you, Kuratsuchi-san, but from now on, we're rivals, said Samui, before walking away towards his teammates, leaving an angry Kuratsuchi behind. Meanwhile, with Sub-Zero, man, I'm so glad I got away from them. I don't know why, but I have a feeling they don't like each other. I mean, I think I saw a lightning bolt shoot between them, but it could be. Imagining things, shaking his head from his thoughts, he continued toward the familiar genin, who were the Team 7 and Team 9, along with other genin who did not recognize that they were talking to an older genin with glasses. Moving a little closer, Naruto could hear what they were talking about and decided to listen. Do you have any information about Gaara of Suna and Sub-Zero? Still? Sayuri asked, receiving a. The genin with glasses nodded. Since you know their names, it's easier, let's see. First, Gaara, because of the sand, a gene that allows him to control sand to a terrifying degree. He has completed missions. Rank 0, Rank 12 missions, Rank 6 missions, Bran Via. I've completed 3 A-rank missions. What? How can a genin have such a thing? Mission history? Mito shouted. Since her team barely survived an A-rank mission, that's not the most. Surprisingly, in all but one mission he suffered no injury, not even a scratch, but when he was injured, apparently he was on the verge of death. Okay, what about Sub-Zero? Sayuri asked, wanting learn more about the man who saved his team. Let's see, here's his information. Basic in the bingo book, but let's see what else I have. Here we go. His name is unknown, he is only known as Sub-Zero. His country of origin is also unknown, but it is speculated that he comes from Yukigekure. His abilities are. They are mainly found in ninjutsu and taijutsu, but they are also very skilled when it comes to the other arts. Ninja, his amazing mission record with rank 0D, rank 32C, range 44B, range 22A and finally 14S, which continues to grow as its skills are in high demand in some of the smaller nations and a couple of large nations, primarily Kumo. IWA, since he seems to be friends with both of them, Kabuto ended up sweating slightly from the fight. Against someone like that, he wasn't the only one. Team 7 already knew most of those things, but he was still surprised by several missions. Team 10 was silent, even the bitch of fate was silent. No. He was very confident that he could beat someone like that. Lee had fire in his eyes, and Tenten was in a daydream that it involved her, him, and a lot of weapons. Team 8, which consisted of him, wasn't the only one, Team 7 already. I knew most of those things, but I was still surprised by several missions Team 10 was in. Silence, even the bitch of fate was silent, not very confident of being able to defeat someone like that. Lee had fire in her eyes and Tenten was in a daydream that involved her. There was a lot of weapons. Team 8, who? It consisted of Shino Abdurrahim and Nadayu Guy. Giacomo Kama was in a state of shock and fear, since this guy was in this. During the exam, Team 10, consisting of Shikamaru, Ino Yamanaka, and Koji Akimichi, were so surprised. Like everyone else, because of the bag full of potato chips that Choji had dropped, and this guy is in the exam. This has become more problematic. Perhaps if we retire now I could spend the rest of the day looking at the clouds, he said. Shikamaru expected Ino to argue, but to his surprise she seemed ready to agree. Hey Kabuto. Do you have a card from someone named Kuro-chan? Mito asked, frowning slightly. That's quite difficult, since it's a nickname. Do you know where it's from? Most likely it's from IWA, he said. Sayuri, who was also frowning, said, that reduces it a little. Let's see, shuffle her cards. She chooses one. This is Suratsuchi, a genin from Anoki's granddaughter. That's Tsuchikuji. Kabuto said, making the 7 kunoichi from both teams smile. They had their objective. What information do you have about her? Sayuri asked, making the Another person might wonder why the two were so interested. Well, she has a real weakness for. She is known for her fire and earth release jutsus, but her lineage is lava release, with which she is very skilled. Lethal. Along with that, his sensei is also the Four Tails Jinchuriki, one of the reasons he's so. It's good that she's been released from the base, but a secondary fact is that she's a close friend of the mercenary Sub-Zero, Kabuto said, making a mental note not to attack Kuratsuchi if Sub-Zero was nearby. Sub-Zero, who was still observing, found it strange that they were asking about Kuratsuchi, but attributed it to the fact that they were looking for his weakness, boredom from just watching Sub-Zero walk toward the group, making sure they didn't notice him, you know? This made them. They all jumped in fright when they turned around. They all saw Sub-Zero standing there, which made them pale. Most of my information is easy to obtain, so there's no need to ask him, he said, pointing at Kabuto. With that, Subaru walked away toward Kuratsuchi, who was trying to ignore Akatsuchi's flirting. There. Having fun, Sub-Zero said with an amused tone in his voice, receiving 2 angry glares, one from Kuratsuchi because not helping her, and another from Akatsuchi for interrupting her sweet flirting line. Shut up, you ice bastard, and leave me alone. Sui-chan, leave me alone, he demanded of Katsuchi, putting his arm around her, making Kuratsuchi flinch. A sickly green color, something Sub-Zero noticed, but Akatsuchi didn't. Akatsuchi. Cow, take your arm off me before I melt it, Kuratsuchi said, gritting his teeth, trying not to kill that idiot of a teammate. Okay, Suin, I understand. We're in the middle of exams, we need to stay focused, this isn't the time for anything intimate, she said. Akatsuki was making Kuratsuchi even greener and was about to hit him, but stopped when a chill ran down his spine. Turning around, he saw Sub-Zero staring at Katsuchi with eyes so cold that he began. A fog will rise from them. Listen, you fat sack of, if you do it again. Touch me without her permission, and I'll freeze you and then let her melt you, do you understand? Trying to act tough, Akatsuchi let out a small growl and attempted to leave, but couldn't because of the trembling of his knees, so he stayed still and tried to hide his fear. After that, the teams spent their time in silence, analyzing the groups to see if anyone was a threat, but after several minutes, one appeared. A cloud of smoke revealed a large man in black with scars on his face. Very well, Worms, I am Aviki, the first supervisor of these exams, so please take a seat, the first exam is about to begin, Sub-Zero. She sat down in a seat in the front and received a strong EP from the girl next to her. Ignoring it, scared, Sub-Zero waited for. Let the exam begin. Very well, wizards, you have a test. To pass, teams must answer as many questions as possible. Ultimately, teams will pass based on their score total of its members. If they're caught cheating more than twice, they're out. They have 1 hour. Let the game begin. Test! Yiki shouted, signaling the Chunin hopefuls to begin their tests. Sub-Zero, on the other hand, either. He didn't even bother to lift his pencil. Instead, he decided to calm down, annoyed by what he perceived hidden. In the room, there were 10 ninjas who knew they shouldn't be there. I wasn't going to cause an incident. International, so he decided to take a nap, keeping his guard down just in case. 50 minutes later, Sub-Zero was sleeping peacefully at his desk, but someone kicked him. Looking up lazily, he saw Iriki stared at him. Wake up, worm, if you're not going to take your exam. Go away, Ibiki said, only to elicit a raised eyebrow. So if I've finished this exam, can I go back to my nap? Receiving a nod, Sub-Zero stood up, drawing attention. Of all of them, he approached a hidden Chunin and slammed his head against the desk, knocking him unconscious. He quickly grabbed his paper, returned to his seat, erased the previous name, and wrote, "Okay, now I'm going back to my a nap." What the hell was that? Demanded Ibiki, but inwardly she was laughing at that guy had some nerve. I only got caught cheating once. Which one? Is that the problem? He asked. Well, but anyone who tries will be fired. Ibrik said, looking around. He saw everyone staring at Sub-Zero like he was a god. Get to work, worms! Yelled Vicky. Making all the genin right again. After another 10 minutes, Ibiki ordered the exam to end. Now. That's the last question. Ibiki announced, receiving many reactions from the genin, none of them good. What do you mean? With the last question? Shouted a Kiri genin. It's just as I said, there's one last question, but you can choose to answer this one. Why wouldn't we answer it? Asked Timarand. Frowning, because if you get this question wrong, you'll fail and never get promoted. Never, Ibiki said, dropping the metaphorical bombshell. What? Almost the entire room shouted in disbelief. But if you don't want to take the risk, the door is there, the choice is yours. Immediately people began to leave from the room until only 36 people remained. Does anyone else want to leave? This is his last chance, said Vicky. Didn't move, which made him smile. Congratulations, everyone passed. What? And the 10th question, Mito shouted. It was a test to see if I would do anything to complete your mission. And it was a test to see your ability to gather information that is essential for training. Otherwise, things like this happen, Iki said as she removed the headscarf, showing everyone how scarred her head was. Putting the headscarf back on, Vicky look everyone in the eye. But remember that sometimes information isn't reliable, so trust your instincts. As in the information before it could continue, a black blur crossed the window to unravel a sign that said the sexy and single Narusaku. The second character, and true to the sign, a woman dressed in a woman in a fishnet outfit with a miniskirt and a trench coat appeared at the front of the room. No way, I'm the sexy one. My single mother, the second mother, Anko exclaimed. Your early life, Anko said, and Vicky emerging from behind the banner made Anko blush with embarrassment. Anyway, you're losing your touch and BTI still has a look left. Suddenly he gained a sadistic smile, but by the time he's done with it will be half the amount for them, he said, making some of the genin pale. Okay, see you at the training ground 44 in 10 minutes, you're disqualified. And with that said, Hanko. He jumped out of the broken window, meeting his team and being scolded by Kuratsuchi. Sub-Zero showed them the way to the forest of death since he used to live there, training camp 44 too. Known as the Forest of Death, upon arriving at the forest, Kuratsuchi and Akatsuchi gazed at it in awe because of its size and Kuratsuchi with horror, since Naruto never explained to her what the forest was like, only that he lived here. Being so young, is his family, Kuratsuchi thought, walking. As they approached the door, they saw Anko sitting in a chair eating dango with a happy expression. Ah, this is just what they were looking for. That I need. I should have about 6 minutes before they appear, so plenty of time to enjoy the Kami's food. Eager to have some fun, Sub-Zero stealthily approaches Hanko. Sorry to burst your bubble, Anko-san, but we decided to arrive early, Sub-Zero said, surprising her, making Hanko. He started choking on his dango. Cough _ B Gotti. You should use a bell, he yelled. Anko only for a look of horror to appear on her face when she realized she had dropped her dango. He fell to the ground, his sadness quickly turned to anger as he drew a kunai, preparing to attack Sub-Zero. With him, well, Gotti, any last words? Sorry about the dango, Ainin, you. I'll buy more after the exam. Sub-Zero said, not wanting to face the women's anger. Faster than the Iraizen, Hanko put away the kunai. Alright, Gotti, but you'd better pay up or else. Anko warned, leaving the threat unfinished. In the air, after waiting a couple more minutes, the other genin finally arrived at the training field. It's about time you arrived, brats, Hanko said, making the genin sweat since she never told them where the training camp. Now I'll explain the rules. Each team will receive a scroll, either the scroll of heaven or the scroll of earth. They will need both scrolls to enter the tower in the middle of the forest. They have 50 days to accomplish this. Any questions? And what about food? Choji asked frantically, since I only had enough food for 3 days. The forest is full of edible things. Is there anyone else who's no good? I'm going to go now. These sheets are lying around, so fill them out, Anko said, passing a piece of paper to everyone, most of them paling as they read the title. Exemption from death. What the hell is this? Omoi asked. It's a waiver of. We need death certificates to cover our backs in case any of you die in there. So hurry up and sign. When you're finished, each team will come here to pick up a scroll, he ordered. A minute later, all the forms. They were signed, and each team had a scroll. Well, it seems everyone is ready. Let the second exam begin. It's about time you arrived, brats, Hanko said, making the genin sweat since he never told them where. There was the training field. Now I'll explain the rules. Each team will receive a scroll, either a scroll of heaven or of earth. They will need both scrolls to enter the tower in the middle of the forest. They have 50 days to accomplish this. Any questions? And what about food? Choi asked frantically, since I only had enough food for 3 days. The forest is full of edible things. Is there anyone else who's no good? I'm going to go now. These sheets are lying around, so fill them out, Anko said, passing a piece of paper to everyone, most of them paling as they read the title. Exemption from death. What the hell is this? Omoi asked. It's a waiver of. We need to cover our backs in case any of you die in there, so hurry up and sign. When you're finished, each team will come here to pick up a scroll, he ordered. A minute later, all the forms. They were signed, and each team had a scroll. Well, it looks like everyone's ready. Let the second half begin. Exam. And like lightning, each team raced into the deadly forest, leaving a smiling Anko standing there. You better survive, brat, you owe me dango. Suddenly, out of nowhere, he appeared. An ambu with a falcon mask. Anko-san, we found something you need to see. Nodding, Hanko follows the ambu, trying to ignore the feeling in her stomach. With Team 6, having run into the woods, Team 6 takes a short break and begins to plan. Okay, Kuro-chan, Akatsuchi, I have a plan, so listen up. Before I could continue, Akatsuchi began to shout. Who voted for you? Team leader, I should lead this team, since He'd been in it longer. He screamed only to be hit on the head by an angry Kuratsuchi. Shut up, your screams will lead them to us, and Sub-Zero-kun has been a ninja longer than us, so he has more experience, Kuratsuchi whispered in an annoyed tone. As I was saying, if we head towards now that we have the tower, we can place traps and ambush equipment. That way we don't have to worry about getting the correct parchment, since they will both have it, said Sub-Zero, receiving nods of agreement from both, jumping up. They quickly climbed the trees. The three of them headed towards the tower at a rapid pace, as Team 6 traveled. Sub-Zero sensed that the chakra signatures were beginning to disappear throughout the forest. It's strange, I feel that the chakra signatures are moving away from the forest, but more are also entering. What's going on here? Kuro-chan, stay put. Alert, I have a feeling something's going to happen soon, Sub-Zero warned, making Akatsuchi sneer. No. Don't listen to that walking freezer, Tsuchi-chan. I'll protect you from anything, Akatsuchi said with a smile. Charming, I don't need protection, Kurosuchi said, frowning as she thought. Especially from a fat pig like you. Sure, Suin, I know you're strong, but just in case, I'll be your knight in shining armor, Akatsuchi said, making Kuratsuchi turn green. Imagining him in medieval armor about to explode, his stomach overflowing, seeing his expression, Sub-Zero. He laughed silently, earning a withering glare. It seems I have nothing to hide. Don't worry, Kuro-chan, you have your shining knight to save you, Sub-Zero said with a smile. Shut up. Mouth, yes, ice instead of brains, just because you're jealous of my love and just because Su-chan is like that doesn't mean you have to make fun of her, Akatsuchi shouted, making the poor girl Even greener, Akatsuchi, said Kuratsuchi, making the boy look at her with a smile. Yes, Sui-chan, yes. Say that again, and I'll melt your balls. Kuratsuchi warned with a look that would frighten a demon. Of course, Su-chan, stammered a terrified Akatsuchi. The rest of the trip passed without incident, since they avoided all the other teams running through the forest and reached the tower easily. Okay, it's time to set some traps, but try not to overdo it, Sub-Zero said, looking directly at Kuratsuchi. I like it when you do the talking, he murmured, following his orders. The two members, the original members of Team 6, got to work planting different traps around the area, making sure that no one will notice them before it's too late. Sub-Zero-kun, we're finished. I had to rescue Akatsuchi when he got caught in one of his own traps, but Swan, that was the... It only happened once. I promise it won't happen again, he complained to Katsuchi. What about the weather in the land of the snow, or the weather in the land of vegetables? And let's not forget the weather in the land of rice, Kuratsuchi said with a... His expressionless gaze made Akatsuchi blush with embarrassment. Enough of Akatsuchi's incompetence. We must remain vigilant, Sub-Zero said, but even with his mask on, it was clear he was smirking at the red-faced shinobi. After 20 minutes in hiding, Akatsuchi seemed about to. I screamed in frustration, why are we waiting here? We should be looking for other teams. Shut up and cover yourself, Akatsuchi, before I melt you, Akatsuki exclaimed. Kuratsuchi threatened. To avoid angering her, Akatsuchi tried to hide, but before he could do so, Sub-Zero emerged from his hiding place and shoved him aside. Akatsuchi got to his feet and glared at him. The look, hey, what was that? But he stopped when he saw 4 kini embedded in the ground. We're not alone, I can feel 5 chakra signatures and more on the way, so prepare yourself, Sub-Zero ordered, forming beds of ice and positioning himself in the Dragon Claw stance. Listening to Sub-Zero, Kuratsuchi assumed a defensive stance and Akatsuchi prepared a jutsu. From the trees above them emerged 5 shinobi in armor and masks. Umbu, surrender! The users of ice and lava, a leader demanded in a monotone voice. You can stay with that ice bastard, but leave Sui-chan alone, Akatsuchi said. Wow. And I thought we were friends, sure. Sub-Zero said sarcastically. This is your final warning. Hand over your bloodline users or die. Here it is. My answer, Ashstone Sealing Technique, Kuratsuchi shouted, spewing a large cloud of ash from its mouth that quickly enveloped the 5 shinobi and hardened, trapping them in the ash. Su-chan is incredible. Those guys didn't have no chance. He praised Katsuchi. It's not over, if I still. She's holding up her bed of ice. What a snowflake. You're jealous of Suchi-chan's amazing skills. Shut up. Akatsuchi. Sub-Zero-kun, you're right, they escaped. I knew Su-chan was just testing to see if she could say it, he stammered to Katsuchi. Of course you have an amazing brain, just keep eyes open, Kuratsuchi said. No need, Kuro-chan, they're right on top of us. They're waiting for us to make their move, but it will be too late for them, Sub-Zero said as she let go of their beds, shattering them on the floor. We have to attack them, he yelled at Katsuchi, running towards a nearby tree as fast as he could. Sub-Zero shook his head and began. The countdown confused Kuratsuchi. 3, 2, 1, what the hell? The two of them in the... They saw Akatsuchi running back from the tree with a look of astonishment on his face. What did you do? He demanded. I've had a squad of ice clones following us since the beginning of this exam, just to make sure. Sub-Zero replied. Well, they did a terrible job, otherwise I never would have. We would have seen that team. They didn't do what was planned, to monitor, and if necessary. It was necessary to eliminate any threat. The clones spotted the squad and acted accordingly, waiting in the shadows. The perfect moment, explained Sub-Zero. Whatever, let's find another squad. For a scroll, just as they were about to flee, a clone of Sub-Zero appeared holding 3 scrolls and he passed them to the original. The clone disappeared among the trees. It seems the ambush squad took some others before coming after us and took their scrolls to appear less suspicious. Lucky enough to us, but I wonder, who did they take? Not many villages are willing to risk sending promising ninjas with lineages to events like this, unless they're trying to prove their strength, Sub-Zero said as he put away the scrolls. Well, never mind, now let's head towards the tower. It shouldn't take us long time, since we're quite close. Kuratsuchi said that dumb blonde had better make it to the next part of the exam. I want to kick his ass. Okay, let's move, said Sub-Zero. After 10 minutes of running, Team 6 reached the tower when they all felt a wave of chakra V that. It made them feel slightly ill. What was that? Kuratsuchi asked. It felt like chakra, but darker, Akatsuchi said. That's because it was tainted chakra. To be specific, and I only know one thing that can do that, Sub-Zero said, his eyes widening and his voice quickening. He ran towards the source of the Bilhakra, leaving his teammates standing there confused. Well, that was weird, but now that she's gone, we can finally have some time alone, right? Su-chan, not even. Dream, we're heading to the tower, Bill's chakra location. Sayuri-chan, that's enough, you've won, you don't have to. Kill them. Mito screamed as she and Kiba watched their teammate and friend brutally beat the team. From afar until only one limb remained standing. You're very proud of these arms, how would you feel with them broken? Sayuri said, crazed, a black tattoo like a flame spreading across her face. Please. Stop, you can keep our scroll and we'll leave, I swear, he pleaded. The ninja. But his pleas fell on deaf ears as Sayuri tightened her grip on his arms, preparing to break them. Please, no, begged the sound ninja. Sayuri, stop, they shouted. Kiba and Mito, no, they attacked us, so I'll make sure they don't try it again. And with that said, Sayuri tried. He broke her arms, but he couldn't move his own. What is this? He asked. Would it be me, Yukiya? Said a voice that Team 7 recognized as Sub-Zero. Let me go, Sub-Zero, they deserved it, Sayuri shouted with a deranged smile. Causing Sub-Zero to shake his head, disappointed. I'm disappointed, Sayuri, I was hoping that. I wish you had the willpower and common sense not to use that brand, turns out I was wrong anyway. He ended up shrugging his shoulders, making the members of Team 7, who weren't crazy, sweat a little. A drop of blood trickled down my cheek at her nonchalant attitude. I demand you let me go, Sayuri shouted. While trying to break free from her bonds, but without success, you can demand everything. Whatever you want, it's not going to happen until I take care of your little hickey, Sub-Zero said before disappearing. Reappear in front of Sayuri. A seal of heaven, I can't remove it right now, but I can seal it with a jutsu I modified, extreme evil sealing method, Sub-Zero said, holding his hand over the cursed seal. And watched with satisfaction as it was sealed. When the seal was completely sealed, Sayuri fainted. Of exhaustion, much to the concern of his teammates who came running as soon as Sub-Zero. It's over, will she be okay? Asked Mito, who looked at her sleeping friend with worry. She'll be fine, the seal I use will seal that mark as long as she or I. Let's wish, replied Sub-Zero, who quickly adopted a serious expression. Now tell me what happened, can we do it later? We need to take. Sayuri-chan went to a doctor. She said she didn't want to tell Sub-Zero about the incident, as it was quite embarrassing. For them, okay, I want the details later, but I think I can guess what happened, Orochimaru. He showed up, kicked everyone's ass in 6 different ways. On Sunday, he left that mark and left without a single one. A scratch, am I in the stadium? Sub-Zero asked, making them both blush. From embarrassment, I deduce from there. Red faces, Neo, I hit the nail on the head, receiving 2 sad nods, tried to cheer them up. Hey, cheer up. They fought against the Sannin and survived, Sub-Zero said, making them cheer up a little. Okay. He let it live and probably didn't even use 5% of his chakra. That's still a pretty good achievement, he finished with a smile. The eyes that missed the clouds that hung over their heads. Thank you, Sub-Zero, you made us feel much better, Kiba said sarcastically. No problem, I'm always will to help, Sub-Zero replied, seemingly oblivious to the sarcasm. I was being sarcastic, you idiot, yelled Kiba, who had a checkmark on his wrist. The forehead. Did you say something? Sub-Zero asked while thanking. I mentally told Kakashi, you're dead, the Inuzuka yelled, but Mito hit him on the head. Shut up. Kiba, we have to get to the tower, Mito said. Well, now that they've left. No more arguing, we can finally leave, said Sub-Zero, making Mito and Kiba glare at him, but of course they didn't. They didn't want to start another argument, so they left him alone. With Sub-Zero carrying Sayuri, they headed towards the tower. It's okay, I want the details later, but I think I can guess what happened. Orochimaru appeared and kicked them in the. He butted everyone in 6 different ways on Sunday, left that mark, and walked away without a scratch. Am I in the stadium? Sub-Zero asked, making them both blush. From embarrassment, I deduced from their red faces. Neo, what did I say? He hit the nail on the head, receiving 2 sad nods. He tries to cheer them up. Hey. They fought against the Sannin and survived, Sub-Zero said, making them cheer up a little. Okay. He let them live and probably didn't even use 5% of his chakra. That's still a pretty good achievement, he concluded, a smile in their eyes missing the clouds that hung over their heads. Thank you, Sub-Zero, you made us feel much better, Kiba said sarcastically. No problem, I'm always will to help, Sub-Zero replied, seemingly oblivious to the sarcasm. I was being sarcastic, you idiot, yelled Kiba, who had a checkmark on his wrist. The forehead. Did you give anything? Sub-Zero asked while mentally thanking. Kakashi, are you dead? The Inuzuka shouted, but Mito punched him in the head. Shut up, Kiba, we have to get to the tower, said Mito. Well, now that they've stopped arguing, we can finally go, Sub-Zero said, making Mito and Kiba look at him with. They were angry, but since they didn't want to start another argument, they left him alone. With Sub-Zero carrying Sayuri, they headed off to the tower. Exam tower, where is it? Kuratsuchi shouted angrily. Because Naruto had unintentionally left her with her annoying teammate who kept saying silly things about her love, making him feel nauseous just thinking about it. His chance cube must have dead in that forest. We better go inside and rest. I'll even give you a massage to help you relax more, he offered Katsuchi with a perverted smile and a slight nosebleed, squeezing. Kuratsuchi ignored her companion and continued searching for any sign of her other companion, and after others. After waiting for 5 minutes and pausing to avoid melting his teammate, Sub-Zero dropped from a nearby tree. And to his horror, he was holding a little girl in his arms, about to scream at him. 2 more shinobi jumped in with him, one of them, which made her narrow her eyes with hatred upon recognizing the redhead as the daughter of the yellow sparkles. Hello, Kuro-chan, thank you for waiting. I needed to investigate that disgusting chakra, Sub-Zero said with a smile. I looked at him, only for her to turn her head away. It seems that you did more than investigate, shooting a death glare at Sayuri. If that dumb blonde wasn't enough, now you have an emo and a tomato, Kuruchi said, making Sub-Zero sigh. Kuro-chan, there's a reason behind this, and I'll explain it to you, but first we should go inside, okay? Good, but if that explanation isn't enough, then you owe me one, he demanded, complying quickly and trying not to anger her. 2 groups head towards the exit and take out their scrolls. So, what do we do with them? Mito asked. I read. The message they have is a riddle, and to be honest, quite simple. Open them all at once, said Sub-Zero, who tried to pass the scrolls to Sayuri Kiba so she could open them, but she clung to it, which left a mark on Kuratsuchi and Mito's heads, after removing it and opening the scrolls. Sub-Zero and Mito opened them, creating a large cloud of smoke that soon dissipated, revealing Rossi and Irika. Irika! Sensei! Exclaimed Mito and Kiba in surprise. Meanwhile, the conscious members of Team 7 were speaking. With her former sensei, Rossi approached her team. Congratulations, Team 6. But I expected them to return sooner, Rosher said, looking at Sub-Zero with a look that said, explain yourself. Well, some things came up that I had to deal with, Sub-Zero said with a dismissive gesture as he sent a discrete sequence of code with the other hand. Explain it to me later. Well, then let's go and rest. They still have 4 days to relax before the other teams arrive, he said. Rossi led his team inside, closely followed by Team 7 and Irika. Upon entering the tower, the Team 6 was taken to their quarters to rest and relax. Sakura, I think now is the best time to explain what happened during the second phase, Rossi said, and Kuratsuchi nodded. Well, after defeating the AMB squad, I sensed a dark and repulsive chakra that I recognized. I investigated and found the Uchiha about to break the arms of a healthy shinobi while his team begged him to stop. After easily subduing her, I sealed the source of the repulsive chakra and took her to the tower. By his teammates, Sub-Zero explained. And what was the source of the repulsive chakra? Rossi asked, doubting it was the chakra of a tailed beast. It was from a seal created by the Sannin Orochimaru, known as the Curse Seal. A powerful combination of Funijutsu and Senjutsu alters the mind of the Slowly making the user dependent on him and loyal to Orochimaru, Sub-Zero responded with a grimace. And how do you know that, huh? I bet you work for that snake, he accused. Katsuchi, he was about to continue his rant, but suddenly the air grew heavy, making him. Kuratsuchi and Rasi were sweating and struggling to breathe, but the worst was Katsuchi, who gasped as he fell to his knees, trembling with fear. Do you dare? A cold whisper came from Sub-Zero, who walked slowly toward the trembling Akatsuchi. His eyes were shadowed by his hair. Do you dare? Sub-Zero shouted. Suki reached her peak, causing a yellow puddle to appear beneath the fallen Akatsuchi, taking the shinobi. He gripped the AI by the neck and brought it up to his eyes. Akatsuchi saw for the first time the pure rage in his eyes. White eyes, I'll give you this one warning, and only one warning. If you ever involve me in collusion with that snake again, you will know the true meaning of pain. Do I understand? Sub-Zero asked, looking into Akatsuchi's fearful eyes. I said. That was clear. Sub-Zero shouted. Yes. After dropping it to the ground and stopping its flow. Sub-Zero quickly apologizes to Rashi and Kuratsuchi and calmly leaves the room, leaving. Two people were stunned, one of them on the verge of fainting. After a minute of silence, Kuratsuchi decided to ask the question that everyone had in mind. What the heck was that? I'd never seen it like that. Angry? Kuratsuchi asked, still surprised by Sub-Zero's anger. I don't know, but let's give him some space. Now let's let him calm down, Rashi said, causing Kuratsuchi to frown, but nod in acknowledgement. With that, the two went to prepare for the coming days without seeing the angry and crazed look on the face of Akatsuchi. I swear, Sub-Zero, I will make you pay for this humiliation, and when I do, I will take away everything you love, including Kuratsuchi. 4 days later, 400 days had passed. Ever since Team 6 had reached the tower and the verbal beating that Sub-Zero gave Katsuchi with the second phase. Now it's over, and all the teams that prepared to fight were waiting for the announcement. Rossi-sensei has seen Sub-Zero. Kun, I haven't seen him since we arrived, Kuratsuchi asked, worried that Sub-Zero had left. Surely it will appear soon. Some in this room would be very angry if it didn't, including you, Rossi said as he looked around. But more specifically at Samui, Sayuri, and Mito. And as if Kami himself desired it. The Susuro appeared in a swirl of ice and snow, surprising those who hadn't seen him before. Hello? He greeted them. His usual smile. Me, is that all you've got to say? After I've been worried about you for 4 days? Kuratsuchi shouted. Sorry, he added quickly, making. A bead of sweat broke out on Rosh and everyone around him. Forget it, I'm not talking to you, he shouted, and he walked away, stopping near Akatsuchi, making him smile mischievously as he and Rossi thought the same. Yes, because that's going to last. Ignoring the drama for now, Team 6 and the other teams waited silently for the supervisor to begin. They really can't ask me to do that. He's coughing, so he's just pretending he's there. Congratulations on making it so far along in the exam. But unfortunately there are too many of you to compete in the third and last part of the exam, so to solve this, we will have randomly selected preliminary matches. This computer is behind me, Ait said, pointing to the large screen. Now, before we begin, I'd like to ask if any of you would like to retire now. I would. I've barely arrived here and hardly. I still have chakra, Kabuto said, ignoring his response and letting him go. He looked around at you once more. Anyone else? No, okay, then we can begin now. Please lend attention to the boring ones, Ait said as the board began to randomly sort the names, then stopped. Finally, in Sayuriukia, while Yoro and Akado. Could the wrestlers come down to the arena? Ait asked, Eloro anxiously. To prove her worth to Orochimaru, she jumped into the area, while Sayuri was quickly pulled away by her sensei and Kakashi. Remember Sayuri? We don't know how stable a seal Sub-Zero placed in you, so try to avoid using chakra. Reluctantly accept Yuri and walk towards the arena. It's about time. Bitch, I'll show you that you're nothing compared to me, Yora said. TCH. You should feel honored that I even agreed to fight trash like you, he sneered, further enraging his opponent. Okay, if both fighters are ready, then let's begin, he shouted. I jumped to a safe distance. I'm going to enjoy this, Yordi said, while taking it with surprising speed and 2 bright blue hands, about to adopt a In a defensive stance, Sayuri let out an agonizing scream of pain emanating from her cursed seal. What was that? I thought this thing was sealed, he asked. Don't get distracted, Yoro shouted, and while he grabbed her head with his two glowing hands, seeing his advantage, Yoroi pinned her to the ground. Is this it? Everything that the mighty Yukiya has? Pathetic, Yoroi sneered, MMC Agra. Graznase felt his chakra draining, Orochimaru, disguised as a jonin. From the sound, he watched the fight with interest. It seems that the ability to Eloro is finding it quite a challenge to absorb chakra, but why isn't the seal activating when I'm nearby? He shouldn't be able to resist the urge to use it, and Kakashi doesn't have the necessary sealing knowledge to seal it completely. Why? Orochimaru wondered before someone could call his attention to it, of course. Kakuku is here, he must have sealed it, you've always had me in your hand. Right, Naruto-kun? Back in the fight, Sayuri suppressed the pain and finally gathered the strength to. He kicked Yuri, making him slip back a little. Oh, you still have some left. A bit of fighting, well, this would be boring otherwise, Yoroi said From the stands, Mito and Kiba watched the fight with annoyance, since even with their disadvantage they expected Sayuri to win. Easily. Hey Sayuri, is that all you've got? What happened to the mighty one? Yukiya? Mito shouted, enraging Sayuri. Shut up, tomato head. No! I need you to tell me that, then fight properly. You know how to do it, right? Because so far this. It's shameful! Kiba shouted, ignoring her teammates Sayuri. He starts focusing on the fight. Okay, he can absorb my chakra, but he needs to touch me to do that. It works, I have about half my reserves, enough for about 3 jutsu, and I can use my Sharingan for a few minutes, although Sayuri quickly tried to think of a battle strategy before. A small smile appeared on his face. Okay, trash this fight. It's over, Sayuri declared, activating her Sharingan and looking directly at Yori, who mentally shuddered at the sight. The dojutsu. It's going to take more to defeat me, Yoroyo shouted, attacking her with. His hands gleamed once more, he smiled smugly at her pained face and motionless body. Grabbing her arms and pinning her to the ground once more, I cry and laugh with joy. Ha ha ha, was that your plan? A battle? That they'll take away the rest of your chakra? He mocked. You're a fool, it was everything, Sayuri said as she shattered, revealing it was all an illusion. That, Genjitsukai screamed. YOLO, shattering the illusion, but it was too late, his entire body was entangled in the ninja cable, it was over. Fire element, dragon fire technique. Sayuri shouted, sending a large burst of fire along the cable and directly to Yoroi, who watched in horror as the fire climbed the cables. But before the fire reached him, she jumped up and used the water bullet jutsu to extinguish it. I will not allow unnecessary deaths. The winner is Sayuri Yukiya, declared Sayuri, causing the team and her graduating class to cheer for her. Friend, with a slight smile, Sayuri went up to the balcony and was soon bombarded with questions, all of which she decided. Ignore? Alright, now it's time for the next fight, Ayate said, making everyone look at the board while it would become random before stopping. Okay, Kuratsuchi and Shinobu Rame. They'll come to the arena. Good luck, Tsuchi-chan, I know you'll win, Akatsuchi said, making her laugh. Of course I will, she replied before walking away, still ignoring Sub-Zero. Okay. If you're both ready, let's begin. You know you probably should. Give up? Kuratsuchi said, confusing users with the logical fallacy. And why would I do that? It's not. Is it logical to give up without even starting? Asked the user who encountered the error. Well, there in IE we also have a clan of insect users and they refused to fight me because of my lava, since it kills your insects on contact, and considering this isn't a real fight, I suppose you wouldn't want that the insects would die, he replied. After thinking for a few seconds, Shino nodded. Your answer is logical, Proctor, I give up. All-8 nodded. Kudosuchi, winner of AI. Walking back to the balcony and receiving a lot of unnecessary praise from Akatsuchi, the board. It began to be randomized again, and when it stopped there were mixed reactions. Oh boy, Rasi said, knowing this wouldn't end well. Okay, Kuratsuchi said. Great, Samui murmured. This won't be good. Kakashi muttered, putting away his book. This is going to be amazing. Mito shouted. Troublesome, Shikamura muttered. Cuckoo. This will be interesting. Orochimaru thought. Alright, Akatsuchi do it and Sub-Zero. They could come to the arena. I said. Yes, finally I can kick his ass. That bastard. Akatsuchi yelled as he ran toward the arena, sighed, this will be boring, muttered Sub-Zero, who appeared in a swirl of ice and snow in the arena. Fine, if both fighters. They're ready, then let's begin, shouted I-8, jumping farther than in the other fights. Having heard how strong Sub-Zero was, he didn't want to take any chances. Let's go for this, another one. Sub-Zero muttered in a bored tone, knowing this wouldn't be a long fight. Don't underestimate me, bastard. I'll show who's stronger. Earth release spears from the rock pillar. He yelled at Katsuchi, trying to create a pillar for. He fired from below Sub-Zero, but nothing happened. What the hell? Why isn't it working? He yelled before throwing it at his. The opponent gave him a murderous glare. What did you do? He demanded of Katsuchi. Nothing, everything. What I did was freeze the ground beneath me so you couldn't manipulate it. Nothing special, he replied. Sub-Zero casually, causing Akatsuchi and most of the crowd to open their eyes wide in shock. Why so simple yet ingenious to stop someone using Earth Jutsu? Ugh, you think you're so smart? Well, I'll show you that not even you can stop this technique. It has been passed down from generation to generation. In my family, the ultimate Earth Jutsu, he declared to Katsuchi, who began performing a long sequence. With hand signals. Please come in, this was getting more boring than I thought. That would be, Sub-Zero said, causing some of the Jonin to frown. Balcony, what arrogance to let a opponent uses a powerful jutsu when the fight could end now, Karina said, prompting Kakashi to speak. It's not arrogance, it's confidence in his power, and believe me, he has every right to be, given how strong he is. You're probably just kidding, Kakashi. I know you said it was an A-rank running, but letting someone use such a powerful technique. He's just arrogant, Asuma said, trying to defend his secret love. No, you fools, Mr. Chandler, you're excited, do you understand? Shouted Kumo-sensei. Confusing them, Samui sighed and translated for them. She said that Sub-Zero doesn't like fighting. Bored, he likes the thrill of a good fight, and will give his opponents an advantage if he gets bored to make it more exciting. Entertaining? Oh, and how do you know this, my young friend? Guy asked Mr. Coldcan. Making me fall to my knees while my partner and I work together, Killer Bee rapped, making the sensei. They looked back at Samui for a translation. He said that Subaru could beat him when he and Javi were working together. Samu said, leaving Bucky open to everyone. Defeating a normal Jinchuriki was nearly impossible, even with the whole squad, but taking down one that cooperates with its tailed beast on your own was insane. Sure, ha. The jutsu is finished, Mito said, causing the sensei to refocus on the fight. Sand, now feel my wrath, Sub-Zero. Earth release, secret technique. Last golem of earth and rock, he shouted to Katsuchi and placed his hands on the ground, making it rumble like a mini earthquake. Sub-Zero and the spectators watched as the ground below began to rise and change shape, and after a few seconds, Akatsuchi was standing atop a large, single-armed golem. Watch out, ha ha ha, this is my ultimate technique. Are you ready, Sub-Zero? This could be fun after all. Chilling air cutter, Sub-Zero said, slicing his arm through the air, sending a blue slash straight at the golem, who blocked it with his arm, freezing it almost instantly. So much for the ultimate technique, said Sub-Zero, but he was slightly surprised when the golem destroyed his own arm and it grew back almost as fast as it froze. That won't work, all the damage the golem heals instantly from the earth covering it. Accept it, your finished golem uses the rock cannon. Following their creator's instructions, he ordered the golem's arms to transform into giant cannons and they began to. He threw enormous rocks at Sub-Zero, which he easily dodged. Is this all Akatsuchi can do? Throwing rocks? How disappointing, he mocked them, easily dodging the rocks. Ark, you bastard. Arrogant, let's see how you handle this. The golem uses the stalagmite trap. He ordered Katsuchi to stop his foot. The golem opened the earth, causing Susuro to fall into the small abyss alone, to see large stalagmites at the bottom. How boring, muttered Sub-Zero as he created his beds and nailed them down on the wall, halting its descent. Quick, golem, close the chasm. He ordered Katsuchi, surprising some who thought he would kill his own comrade, with a swift stomp. The chasm closed. Ha ha ha, that's what you get, you arrogant bastard, and now, Kuratsuchi is mine, Akatsuchi River. Balcony. I knew his arrogance would be his downfall. Kurenai said. What a shame, but. The kid brought it on himself. Alma said, taking out a cigarette. Killing your own partner isn't right. Young people shouted gay, that idiot. Samu muttered, his head bowed. Thinking the girl was upset, Kurenai went to try and comfort her, but stopped when her head lifted from Sub-Zero blow. If you don't come out right now, I swear I'll make you go to all of Killer Bee's rap concerts, he yelled. Samui, thinking the girl was in denial about her friend's death, Gay, Karina, and Asuma gave her looks. They were understanding, only to be surprised when they heard a familiar voice. Wow, Samu. Sean, you don't need to threaten me. I was about to reveal myself, looking towards the. In the arena, the senses see Sub-Zero standing there without even a hair out of place. How? Kurenai asked. Look at the fight and find out, Kakashi said, having not taken his eyes off the fight for a second. Arena, how are you still alive? He asked Katsuchi. Well, when you started closing the chasm, I froze the area I was in. And I used my tombstone teleportation to get out. Simple, really, but I'm already bored with this fight, so I'll finish. But since you showed me your best technique, I'll show you one of mine. Golem, stop him now, he demanded. Katsuchi, following his orders, the great golem throws a right punch at the motionless one. Sub-Zero, it's over. Sub-Zero, stop. You may be an ice time capsule, and that's all for now. List of jutsus, my own creations, Earth Release, secret technique of the ultimate Earth and Rock Golem. The golem resembles the one from the Gamer manga. It uses Earth to create a powerful golem. Its size depends on the chakra used to do it. This golem is special, as it will heal itself using the earth and chakra that it surrounds it. Cold air cutter. The user cools the air to the point which turns into a liquid nitrogen gas and cuts with its arm, creating a nitrogen blade that freezes upon impact. Contact. Stalagmite trap. Users create a large chasm whose